Before returning to the college entrance exam, I became popular in the scientific community. Greetings, fellow multiversal adventurers. It's an honor to have you back in this saga that has us all hooked. Official channel statement: this story is 100% epic fiction, so please don't attempt real magic. The results aren't guaranteed and insurance won't cover it. The rights to this masterpiece belong entirely to its brilliant original author. We are just a barge sharing it with you. Do you want to keep being part of this amazing community? Join our ninja army of subscribers on YouTube and give this content a like. And for true fans, our Patreon has exclusive ninjutsu waiting for you. Chapter 326 Double Award. The award ceremony continued, but everyone was still deeply moved by the previous session. The next stage was the National Science and Technology Progress Award. This year's National Science and Technology Progress Award was undoubtedly presented to the most shining achievements of the year, the J20 and H20 Kunpeng project teams. Coincidentally, both were successfully delivered and put into service at the beginning of the year, while the other completed flight tests and entered production, entering service at the end of the year. Amidst thunderous applause, Lu Xiao, Engineer Zun, and Professor Feng Yuanyang, as team representatives, took the stage to accept the award. This record-breaking breakthrough marked a new chapter in China's aviation industry. Receiving this honor is an undeniable honor. The breakthrough of the J35 will undoubtedly earn them another Science and Technology Progress Award next year. Standing on the stage, the three men's gazes seemed scattered, but in reality, they were all fixed in a certain direction. Especially during the award ceremony, many might have thought they were simply standing at a certain angle, but only they knew they were paying tribute to the person who most deserved to represent them on stage and accept this honor, General Wu Tong, winner of the National Natural Science First Prize. They hoped that China would be able to fully protect Wu Tong, and that this morning, Wu Tong's contributions would be made public, allowing the world to sing his praises. They felt a certain embarrassment and shame to accept this honor on behalf of General Wu, who was more deserving of the stage. General Wu, this is for you from above. After the awards ceremony, Wu Tong left the auditorium with the other faculty members. She didn't interact much with Lu Xiao, Engineer Zun, or the others. She said goodbye to the faculty members and got into the car that had come to pick her up. Once in the car, Kei handed Wu Tong a brocade box. Wu Tong opened the box, revealing a bright red and gold stamped certificate, quietly nestled within, silently announcing the honor that belonged to her, the National Science and Technology Progress Award. As the car quietly started up and headed towards Yan'an, Wu Tong's dedicated line rang again within the quiet car. Chu Henggin's elegant voice echoed once more. Mr. Wu, did you receive the surprise? Although Wu Tong couldn't openly accept the award on stage, as the core developer of the J20, H20, and J35, three groundbreaking fighter jets, a special certificate of honor had been prepared. It would be delivered to someone close to Wu Tong during the ceremony and immediately presented to him upon his departure. Next year, another major award will be presented to Mr. Wu, in celebration of his successful development of the WS-B1 variable cycle engine, as well as his numerous breakthroughs in materials science, including high-energy nitrides, super roadbed materials, and advanced aviation materials. Got it, eh? I'm sorry I couldn't have you on the podium, but this honor is well-deserved. Thank you, I understand. The double award filled Wu Tong's heart with emotion. With such honor, how could she not serve her country wholeheartedly? Minister Chu, I'll have good news for you later. She also wanted to give her country a token of her appreciation in her own way. Tong, we saw you won a prize. Tong. Let me see what this certificate for the National Natural Science First Prize looks like. How does it feel to be on stage to receive the award? Are you excited? Returning home, Wu Tong was greeted by the enthusiastic embrace of her entire family. Compared to the family before she left, there was one more person at home, Professor Feng Yuanyang, who was worried about his clueless student. He wondered if he had seen Wu Tong's award. Now, Wu Tong felt that she could directly respond to Professor Feng's concern. Her little brother had returned home just in time. Of course I'm excited. I'm not a robot, how could I not be excited? Here, little brother, I'm waiting to feel your certificate. Wu Tong generously handed the certificate for the first prize in natural science to Jin Xin, letting the whole family rejoice. Tong, please spare me. The pressure of the Himalayas is mounting, and I feel like I'm about to be crushed. Jin Xin's certificate, barely warmed to the touch, was snatched away by the elders. He couldn't help but spread his hands and begged Wu Tong for mercy. They'd been waiting for him for who knows how many years. Honestly, he was a little lacking in confidence. I'll try my best, and see if I can even get the National Science and Technology Progress Award. He had no hope of ever winning the first prize in natural science and technology progress. His innate research selection criteria had deprived him of such a prestigious award. But everyone must always have aspirations to pursue, otherwise, they'd be nothing more than a worthless fish. He had no intention of settling for nothing, he had to strive for something higher. The National Science and Technology Progress Award was the lofty goal he was aiming for. You can do it, little brother. Aim high. Keep going. Wu Tong smiled brightly, giving Jinzin a thumbs up and then a cheering gesture. She loved sharing these heartwarming moments of joy with her family. While Wu Tong accepted the award, the next day, the celebrations at Peking University, though the message remained the same, continued to express their joy, and the internet was once again flooded with messages. Congratulations to my country's top scholar Wu Tong for winning the first prize in the International Natural Science Award. After 2 years vacant, the National Natural Science First Prize has a major winner. At only 18 years old, she is the youngest winner of the National Natural Science First Prize in history. Shocking. The 2012 National Natural Science First Prize was awarded to her, China's highest academic honor, the National Natural Science Award, a little-known award. The buzz surrounding Wu Tong's Wolf Prize in mathematics hasn't completely faded yet. She has once again won the first prize in the National Natural Science, the only recipient of this year's award, a distinction that has been missed for 2 years. This prestigious honor, shared by the Chinese public, who have learned the difficulty of winning the National Natural Science First Prize, has once again garnered extraordinary attention, sending the internet ablaze with excitement. Official media have nearly dialed back their coverage, but Wu Tong has become a near deification among the Chinese people. Thousands of parents desperately hope their children can achieve even 1% of Wu Tong's talent. They would be perfectly content. The overwhelming coverage has kept Wu Tong's name incredibly popular. Internet regulators have been instructed not to impose excessive restrictions on reports that aren't offensive or illegal. Everyone assumed that key protection meant suppressing all news, but this time, they've gone the other way, allowing Wu Tong's fame and influence to shine brightly before the eyes of the Chinese people. This, in turn, has reduced the visibility of Wu Tong's whereabouts, creating a cloud of smog for those who occasionally keep an eye on him. Great China, magnificent. My God, glorious. He wins the laurels. As expected, the brilliant achievements of the proof of the Goldbach conjecture and the NS proof are undeniable. Congratulations to my God on winning the grand prize. My God, I respect my God. Talents are recruited regardless of their background. I give a thumbs up to the above. Capable people should be given enough attention, and the capable ones should be promoted while the mediocre ones should be demoted. I wish our motherland more prosperity. Chapter 327 State Banquet. Even if he's unconventional, Wu Tong is still too young. Giving the National Natural Science and Technology First Prize, which has been vacant for 2 years, to someone who's barely reached adulthood and can still be called a child, isn't that too much courtesy from the higher-ups? People's hearts are complicated. Some are happy for Wu Tong to receive such an award, while others, naturally, have ulterior motives, displeased with his success. Of course, this ulterior motive was quickly met with heated online criticism, sending him to the Antarctic iceberg. The person above, how many years have you been awake? Young, he. I don't expect you to achieve such results at my God's age of 17 or 18. Even if you had 3 or 4 times the time, could you achieve the same monumental accomplishments as my God? Control your wits a little. Maybe a retraining would bring you some clarity. Age? Are there still people ignorantly using age and seniority as an excuse? What kind of feudalism is this? Weren't you able to break it back then? It's precisely because of my youth that I deserve greater respect. I'm like the rising sun, already at its peak, with an even brighter future ahead. Unlike some who can already see the future, only to see it fade away, the following appears to be a fragmented translation of When Did Youth Ever Matter? Isn't youth even better? The country has already stated its stance. Follow my God's example. As long as you're exceptional, age is never a problem. Isn't this good news for us young people today? Some still dwell on the past, relying on age to gain seniority. You can step aside and let others take over. There's no shortage of young people in this world who rely on their seniority to bully newcomers and suffer unfair treatment. This sentiment resonated immediately. The courtesy shown to Wu Tong by the higher authorities, along with her achievements, compelled her to receive major awards worldwide. No one could use age as an excuse. It truly was a tremendous encouragement. The day after the awards ceremony, a state banquet was held in the Great Hall to honor these researchers who had made outstanding contributions to the country. Compared to the self-service format seen abroad, Wu Tong, attending a state banquet for the first time, was truly eye-opening. State banquets have always been highly sought after by the Chinese people, living up to their name. They truly draw upon the strengths of various Chinese cuisines, adhering to the principle of flavor as the core, nourishment as the goal. They draw upon the rich repertoire of imperial dishes, local delicacies, and renowned dishes from around the world, as well as the 8 major Chinese cuisines. This vast array of resources, culinary excellence, and the best of the best, has resulted in a unique and distinctive culinary experience. The state banquet held in the Great Hall is particularly emblematic of this essence. As today's recipient, and a recipient of the prestigious and rare first prize in the National Natural Science Award, Wu Tong sat at one of the main tables. The dazzling array of dishes, each meticulously selected and each with its own unique characteristics, left Wu Tong practically dazzled. If there was one thing Wu Tong loved more than research, it was undoubtedly delicious food. She sampled nearly every dish, savoring them with genuine care. She pondered, swiftly making more contributions so she could have the chance to bring her family to a state banquet. "We're just too impetuous, worse than children." Pan Wenho and Elder Cheng gazed at Wu Tong with almost affection, sighing softly. As the recipient of the first prize of the National Natural Science Award, the youngest ever, she was the center of attention, her brilliance radiating from within. She was arguably the most talked about figure at the entire conference. It was almost as if every researcher in the room was eager to get to know Wu Tong and chat with her. Who knew they might need her help again? Moreover, Wu Tong was a national role model, a future pillar of the nation, and a trusted supporter of the higher-ups. Befriending her would undoubtedly be beneficial. Platforms like these were a perfect opportunity for everyone to connect and exchange ideas. However, Wu Tong was polite to the scholars who approached her, but nothing more. She showed respect to the elders, but no other considerations. Making connections was more important than tasting a few more bites of the food. This is the strength of youth at a pinnacle of talent, the purity of selflessness. It's the purity we yearn for but can't achieve. Elder Cheng smiled. He felt truly fortunate to be able to guide Wu Tong at his new entry into the material science field. To call him teacher, he raised his small wine glass to Pan Wenhua, thanking the School of Mathematics for gifting him a young protege of whom he was so proud. "I know you're incredibly beautiful." Pan Wenhua rolled his eyes at his old friend and downed his glass fiercely, not even bothering to savor the flavor of the aged Maote liquor. This old man was just smug, boasting about his legitimate title as a teacher. Of course, their Peking University School of Mathematics was also in high spirits today. He might have felt a bit jealous of his old friend's legitimate claim, but he was just as magnificent today. Wu Tong's glory was the glory of China, the glory of Chinese academia, and the glory of Peking University and its School of Mathematics. It's fair to say that Peking University has won a huge victory today, leaving countless schools envious and jealous, especially those next door, who are the most jealous. Not far away, several people at another main table were also discussing Wu Tong. "Our President Wu really liked today's dishes. It's rare to have something President Wu likes. Let's ask her if she has any restrictions. We'll have our state banquet chef go out on an errand every now and then and prepare some dishes that President Wu likes and send them to her and her family. This is the hero of their scientific research's great strides, completely devoted to research, with few extraneous interests. Preparing something for President Wu is a small gesture of gratitude. These people are all familiar with Wu Tong's information. Her most important thing is her family. I'll make arrangements right away. From now on, we'll find a reliable chef to prepare meals specifically for Mr. Wu while he's in Beijing. Even when he's on a project in the future, if it's convenient, we'll have the chef accompany him. Mr. Wu fights for his country, so let him have a good meal, too. Yes, yes. Mr. Wu needs to eat well, eat healthily, and enjoy himself. We'll ensure adequate logistics and protection." More discussions about Wu Tong could be heard at every table, with countless subtle glances casting inquiring eyes. But Wu Tong had already managed to manage it, treating everything as a casual matter, simply eating with all her heart. Seeing her eat so earnestly, the other first prize winners at her table, as well as the two recipients of the highest science and technology award, all whetted their appetites. The main table was a vibrant gathering of young and old, enjoying each dish without competing in drinking or toasting. Those who enjoyed alcohol could enjoy a drink, while those who didn't, were free to choose from a selection of juices, drinks, and teas. Chapter 328 Tai Sui. Elder Wang and Elder Zhang were old friends. Both were of a certain age and ate soft, easily digestible foods. Anything too cold or too hard to digest was painful, but they weren't experiencing any serious health problems. Alcohol was forbidden by their healthcare doctors, so they only drank a small amount at the beginning of the banquet, from a small glass about the size of a fingernail. Though not particularly young, the two elders remained as sharp-eyed, perceptive, and clear-minded as ever. Furthermore, their knowledge and experience only deepened with age, making them truly the guardians of the mountain. By this point, the two men had almost finished their meals, each smiling at Wu Tong. For them, having dedicated their lives to the country, to now see a successor so young and capable was the ultimate reward. Wu Tong sat next to the two elders. At the end of the banquet, when Wu Tong had finished, the two elders spoke to him in gentle tones. "Professor Wu, what interesting topics are you working on lately?" Elder Zhang inquired curiously. Wu Tong's mathematical expertise had already reached the pinnacle of the world, and her research must be at the forefront of global research. "Professor Zhang, Professor Wang, you can just call me by my name, Wu Tong. I've been brushing up on number theory and exploring new things, along with algebraic geometry. And by the way, I've also been doing some research on materials." She couldn't bear the thought of being addressed as professor by these two highly respected elders. Wu Tong was incredibly patient with her elders, answering every question they asked. These were matters that could be shared with the outside world, and Wu Tong hadn't concealed anything from them. Given their authority, if it weren't for the clamor of the crowd, Wu Tong wouldn't have minded sharing the details of her recent research goals. Materials is also a very interesting area, Elder Zhang nodded in agreement. Their research often relies on advances in materials, a key focus of basic research. Wu Tong's interest in this area seemed like a good direction. While conducting two different research directions simultaneously is generally difficult, let alone conducting two-way research in a single discipline, conducting two interdisciplinary studies simultaneously is unheard of and impossible for many. However, for Wu Tong, it was a daily routine. Their table, in particular, represented some of the nation's most advanced scientific research. Yet, they questioned their own abilities, believing they could only manage two research directions, not multiple interdisciplinary ones. However, with Wu Tong, who had already won the prestigious first prize of the National Natural Science Award at the tender age of 18, and was pursuing such a feat, simultaneously researching mathematics and material science, they didn't need to worry about him being overly ambitious, fooling around, or even forcing himself to try. With this exchange, the communication between the two elders and the youngster deepened. Wu Tong had dabbled in explosives and radar, the areas the elders excelled in, thanks to his missile research. While not as in-depth, he had no problem communicating with the elders on a basic level. Furthermore, Wu Tong possessed a remarkable ability to learn and comprehend. When the conversation deepened, he could quickly draw inferences from the two elders' explanations, even attaining a profound understanding. Even in this simple exchange, the two elders could sense Wu Tong's rapid growth and mastery. These two fields were the subject of their lifelong dedication, and they were acutely aware of Wu Tong's every change. This remarkable learning ability made the two elders deeply understand the root of Wu Tong's immense achievements at such a young age. Such abilities are a blessing to China. The three of them chatted quietly, oblivious to the surroundings, but the other first prize winners at the same table could undoubtedly hear them. While they could initially vaguely understand what the two elders and one child were talking about, they were instantly overcome with motion sickness, their understanding completely lost. If it was because of the issues surrounding the subject matter, it was because of the specific topics covered. But the youngest among them, Wu Tong, a mathematician by training, was able to engage in a lively conversation with the two elders. Even in brief descriptions, it was clear that Wu Tong was the speaker, while the two elders were listening. But the way the two elders seemed lost in thought, their eyes gleaming with joy, and even their expressions of applause, was enough to prove that Wu Tong's explanations and the ideas he presented were highly constructive. This disparity was enough to make one smile bitterly. They had only heard of Wu Tong's talent before, but now they had truly experienced it. People are truly incomparable. Back then, and even now, they were all admired and praised as geniuses. However, compared to this young, top scholar, their so-called geniuses were nothing more than ordinary people. Therefore, they didn't need to be overly proud of their award. As long as Wu Tong wasn't overly proud, they could be happy, but they had no right to be proud. After the state banquet, Wu Tong personally escorted the two elders out and handed them over to the accompanying staff. The two elders smiled and said goodbye to Wu Tong. They had already exchanged addresses and phone numbers with her, and sincerely invited her to visit them often when she had time. Wu Tong nodded in agreement, watching the two elders depart in an orderly manner, carefully arranged by the accompanying staff. Meanwhile, Wu Tong also said goodbye to her teachers. Before the scholars eager to gather around her could make a move, Wu Tong reunited with Kai Yan and Wenshu, who had come to pick her up. They quickly passed through security and boarded the special car that had come to pick her up. Traveling in a private car was a perk Wu Tong had always arranged, and the car was especially secretive, with windows modified with bulletproof and anti-peeping glass. Even in Beijing in February, the cold outside was still as chilly as ever. The car had been preheated to a comfortable temperature, and the seats were heated, adjusted to the desired temperature. Once seated, she was enveloped in warmth, dispelling the chill. However, Wu Tong still chose to open the window slightly to feel the cool breeze, which helped her wake up. At the banquet just now, even though the room was spacious, there were still quite a few people, and the noise and clamor had inevitably made her feel a little dizzy. She needed a little bit of coolness to stimulate her thinking and clear her mind, so that she could sort out the inspiration she had just gained from communicating with the two elders. For Wu Tong, both the explosives and radar fields were within the scope of her current research on missile optimization. Chapter 329 Pros and Cons. For Wu Tong, both explosives and radar were within the scope of her current research on missile optimization. After discussing this with the two elders, Wu Tong's previously somewhat stuck areas of thought suddenly became clear, providing a clearer path for improvement. These glimmers of understanding became the foundation for her continued progress. When developing hypersonic missiles, the first and most important consideration is the definition of a hypersonic missile. A hypersonic missile, broadly speaking, refers to a missile with a maximum speed exceeding Mach 5. Most ballistic missiles also have a maximum speed exceeding Mach 5, making them considered hypersonic missiles in the broadest sense. However, when referring to hypersonic missiles today, this is usually limited to the narrower definition: missiles primarily designed for ground strikes, primarily operating within the atmosphere, with a maximum speed exceeding Mach 5 and capable of significant maneuverability. Mach is a unit of speed, with 1 Mach equal to 1 times the speed of sound. This means that in Earth's atmosphere, a hypersonic missile travels at 5 times the speed of sound, or approximately 6,000 kilometers per hour. In fact, the hypersonic weapons they plan to develop in the future include not only hypersonic missiles but also hypersonic aircraft and spaceplanes, collectively referred to as hypersonic vehicles. In addition to these hypersonic weapons, there's also a type of kinetic energy weapon, also known as a hypersonic projectile. These weapons can accelerate projectiles to speeds exceeding Mach 5. At these speeds, projectiles don't even need gunpowder. Their immense kinetic energy alone can devastate numerous targets. Of course, one must eat one bite at a time, and technology must be upgraded step by step. Wu Tong has a clear vision for his future. He will focus on developing the PL-17 and the F-17, providing them to the government as quickly as possible for nationwide promotion, and adding a new chapter to the history of Chinese weapons. In all martial arts, speed is the only way to defeat them. Across the sea, beyond hypersonic missiles, Earth-based space agencies have also proposed the concept of extremely hypersonic missiles, which are even more astonishing, capable of reaching speeds exceeding Mach 10. However, currently, only a handful of countries possess sufficient technology and experience in hypersonic missiles. Domestic technology in this area is not yet mature. Wu Tong's basic requirement for the PL-17 is a speed exceeding Mach 6, and for the DF-17, a speed exceeding Mach 8 to 10th. She wanted to explore the limits of so-called extremely hypersonic missiles. After all, To deter unscrupulous individuals from spying on the nation, a significant gap must be created, making them daunting. Hypersonic missiles can even strike targets before they have time to react defensively. They require not only high speed but also a unique flight trajectory. This combination of speed and trajectory greatly complicates identification and interception by aerospace defense systems, ensuring effective target engagement. To put it even more dramatically, Wu Tong hoped that the massive weapon she had mastered would be fast enough, a hypersonic or even very hypersonic missile capable of ignoring its target's defenses and directly striking its most important targets, thus empowering a rising China with sufficient foundation and confidence to strengthen itself. Anyone with sufficient capabilities harbors the ambition to become a powerful nation, and Wu Tong is no exception. Just as she persisted in her beliefs, she meticulously wrote down the challenges she needed to overcome to achieve her goals. In-depth research was a challenge Wu Tong relished. From the data, she faced challenges centered around thermal protection, high-temperature communications and ionization, positioning, navigation, and timing, maneuverability, aerodynamics, component integration, and a rapid kill chain. Wu Tong's mind raced as she thought about how to solve and overcome these problems, while her subordinates, like a whirlwind, followed her thoughts and took notes. With the optimization of these three key areas, structural design, high-performance materials, and a powerful radar, her PL-17 and DF-17 were both completed as planned. Specifically, the required technologies and objectives can be broken down into digital array radar, high-temperature resistant warhead materials, hypersonic penetration, terminal trajectory maneuvers, Jin-style ballistics, wave rider technology, and accuracy within 50 meters. Wu Tong listed the technologies they needed to master, or the goals she wanted to achieve. If these requirements could be met, she was confident that the DF-17 could be transformed into a true aircraft carrier killer, adding a powerful weapon to the Ningliao. Heat-resistant materials were Wu Tong's forte, and they had extensive experience in this area. If previously developed materials weren't applicable, they could simply build upon them and take it a step further. High-temperature resistant materials, high-temperature resistant coatings, and excellent missile hull materials. In fact, judging by the number of technologies, they already had a considerable technical reserve. Regarding the heat dissipation coating, their previously developed high-temperature resistant coatings were widely applicable, making them a perfect fit for this occasion. Innovation was something she should be fully prepared for. Wu Tong had never worried about areas requiring improvement in materials. She confirmed the general direction, followed up with mathematical calculations, and derived detailed parameters and data. Then, using the derivational space, she ran simulations, identified loopholes, and made modifications. Transportation technology, engine technology. Although Wu Tong had a basic understanding of many areas, now that she was truly focused, she felt she needed to improve any weaknesses. The maximum level a wooden barrel can hold is always determined by its weakest point. Breakthroughs in materials, breakthroughs in design, each one played out in Wu Tong's mind, her eyes turning profound. She moved mountains, filled the sea, but she was never afraid of problems. Technical challenges, problems. Problems meant that some work wasn't done properly. It was the best way to self-diagnose. However, Wu Tong had little risk of error. "Boss Wu, we're home." While Wu Tong was delivering his message at full speed, the car drove him smoothly and almost without a jolt to the basement of his unit and home. When Wu Tong paused, clearly finished his thoughts, and Wenchu softly reminded him. The first problem Wu Tong faced was that missiles, traveling at astonishing speeds of 1.7 kilometers per second or even higher in the dense atmosphere, would rub against the air, generating a tremendous amount of heat, causing the missile's surface temperature to reach 2,200 degrees Celsius, higher than that of a fighter jet. Using a simple metal heat shield would increase the missile's mass, limiting its range and maneuverability, necessitating more advanced measures. Furthermore, the individual electronic components within the missiles generated heat themselves, but heat was difficult to dissipate, posing a challenge in preventing them from spontaneously combusting or melting. Chapter 330 Sequential. To others, the challenges presented one by one might seem incredibly difficult, with little hope of success. Just thinking about them might make their scalp tingle. However, for Wu Tong, problems provide the foundation for breakthroughs. Each problem also serves as a guiding principle, illuminating the path forward. Pages of manuscripts filled with questions lay spread out on Wu Tong's desk. Meanwhile, on a sheet of quarto paper spread out before her, she sketched out the outlines of different missiles. All research is based on a principle of gradual progress. Wu Tong's research on a new missile isn't about creating something out of nothing. She's absorbing the best designs from her predecessors, carefully selecting the essentials and eliminating the dross. The dedicated line rang. Without even looking up, Wu Tong reached for the receiver and listened to Wenshu's report. Mr. Wu, Mr. Liu, and others are calling and need to speak with you. Okay, sisterin, transfer this in. The institute had a dedicated confidential hotline, and Wu Tong had informed everyone she knew that all calls would be directed to the phone at Wenshu's desk, where she worked as an assistant. Wenshu would screen the calls and decide whether to notify her and ask for her opinion on the transfer. Mr. Wu, it's a rare trip to Beijing. Are you free right now? We'd like to visit you at Peking University. As soon as the call was connected, Engineer Zan's loud voice rang out. Although they had sat at the state banquet with Engineer Zan yesterday, Wu Tong had been chatting with Professor Zheng and Professor Wang, so they hadn't had much time to talk. So, before leaving, he decided to visit Mr. Wu and have a good chat. They were heading back to Zizhou. While Mr. Wu is more about action than words and is still the youngest among them, it's a testament to the fact that age is not the only way to achieve talent, and incompetence is a waste of time. Time and again, Wu Tong has aided them in their research, easily overcoming their challenges, and achieving miraculous results. Wu Tong has long been their backbone. Communicating with Wu Tong before returning to Zizhou seems to give them immense courage and motivation to tackle their next project. That's perfect. Come see Mr. Wu's Research Institute. No problem, Engineer Zan, Professor Feng, Brother Liu, Teacher Yang. If you guys come, even if I don't have time anymore, I'll make time for you. Wu Tong agreed with a smile. These seniors had come all the way from Zizhou and thought of visiting her, so how could she not agree? Where are you now? I'll pick you up. No, we've already entered Peking University. We'll go to the Research Institute now. Our CEO Lu graduated from Peking University and knows the way very well, Feng Yuanyang joked with a smile. Lu Xiao, a late Peking University graduate, although he hadn't been there long, could still be called a Peking University master. Although Engineer Zan and the others said they didn't need to be picked up, out of kindness, Wu Tong hurried downstairs and called Ruan Chengsu and Tao Ran, as well as the management team leaders Fu Chuan and Tang Yi, who had gathered on the first floor, to greet them at the institute's gate. The group moved quickly. As soon as Wu Tong came out to greet them, he saw the approaching vehicles and couldn't help but wait with a smile. After the two cars stopped, Tao Ran, Ruan Chengsu, and Fu Chuan Tang, with great foresight, stepped forward to help open the doors of the front and rear vehicles before Wu Tong. These people were no ordinary people either. They also had security personnel accompanying them on their trips. Besides the security personnel, they only brought one other person with them, the lucky young comrade, Jin Xin. Mr. Wu, it's great to see you again. I even had time to personally say Happy New Year. As soon as Engineer Zun stepped out of the car, he beamed at Wu Tong. Congratulations again on winning the first prize of the National Natural Science Award and the Wolf Prize in Mathematics. We wish you all the best this year. Thank you for your good wishes. I wish you all a happy new year and all the best. Winning the Lantern Festival prize bodes well for a smooth year ahead, and for all your projects to go as you wish. Engineer Zan, Brother Liu, Professor Feng, and young master, please follow me into the institute and take your seats. Wu Tong smiled and ushered them inside. It was winter, and it wouldn't be proper hospitality to leave guests outside in the cold. With Wu Tong personally leading the group, and with them all being well-known, high-ranking researchers, the institute's security personnel naturally wouldn't stop them. Any ordinary person approaching this institute would be subject to a 3-generation search and a check of close contacts. The accompanying security personnel will be waiting in the lobby for Engineer Zan and the others to arrive. The only person who will be joining Engineer Zan and the others on the tour is Jin Xin. I'm sorry for interrupting your work by visiting Mr. Wu without prior notice, Feng Yuanyang apologized. If their impulsive behavior had disrupted Wu Tong's important research, it would have been a sin. It's okay. I haven't done any specific research these past 2 days. Wu Tong waved her hand, reassuring them not to worry. As long as Wu Tong wasn't deeply immersed in research and experiencing a burst of inspiration, she could pause and begin again at any time, starting and ending in fragments without much difficulty. Wu Tong briefly introduced the institute's layout to the group, took them on a floor-by-floor tour, and introduced them to her capable associates. This is my junior brother Ruan Chengsu, and this is Taoran. I've been thinking about inviting these talented individuals since I was with President Hu. We've heard about the developer of the reinforcement coating. Not bad, not bad. President Wu, not only are your research abilities exceptional, but your eye for identifying and cultivating talent is also exceptional. Lu Xiao smiled. He was familiar with the two's resumes. Wu Tong's team, nurtured by him, could be considered a place of hidden talents, rising stars, and crouching tigers. From the first floor to the fifth, Wu Tong made no secrets. Everyone had sufficient access. The only one who might have had a slight lack of authority was a relative of Wu Tong's. From a visual perspective, the institute offered no areas that required excessive avoidance or inconvenience. After giving the guests a quick tour, Wu Tong ushered them into her office and seated them in the reception area, where only those trusted individuals were permitted. Would you like some tea? Once the guests were seated, Wu Tong asked for their opinions. She had both coffee and tea ready. Wu Tong, always energetic, didn't rely on either, even if it meant working all night. These were primarily for entertaining guests, so the quality was impeccable. Tea is good, tea is good. Try some of Mr. Wu's tea, everyone agreed, and Wu Tong brewed some herself, passing it to everyone. I don't know much about tea, I only know the basics of hot water with tea bags. Please bear with me. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 331 Riding the Wave. Haha. It's all the same, it's all the same. We're not picky. When the J35 project is fully completed, let's take advantage of Mr. Lu's skills and have him demonstrate tea culture to us. Lu Xiao was a master tea maker, and they had long admired his reputation. Lu Xiao chuckled, but didn't hesitate. No problem. I'll prepare some tea once the J35 project is successfully delivered. I'll treat everyone. He would then get some specially supplied tea from the old man. He'd been mostly at the research institute these days, not having the time to find good tea, so he was a bit short on this. I'll do my bit, too. I'll provide the tea, Wu Tong offered with a smile. I still have a few ounces here. It's said to be to Hongpeo from the mother tree in Wu Ai Mountain. This was part of the supply she received from higher-ups. Since she wasn't particularly knowledgeable about tea, her family only had a few, and they couldn't use it all. It was a perfect way to add to the celebration and make the most of it. That's wonderful. Mr. Lu's skills, Mr. Wu's tea, we're going to feast on it. Suddenly, the office was filled with a cheerful atmosphere. After chatting about daily matters, Wu Tong's office, which was kept strictly confidential and free of outsiders, changed the subject to the J35 project, turning to the more formal aspects. The STOV, vertical takeoff and landing version, designated a Kanglong J35A, had undergone extensive testing and refinement. It's expected to enter full production after the first month of the lunar calendar, with deployment on the Ningliao and the coastal fleet as early as possible. This was good news, and Wu Tong felt she needed to move quickly, ideally completing the major missile project before the Kanglong J35A officially entered service, thus contributing to the Kanglong J35A and their aircraft carrier fleet. After discussing matters related to the J35 project team, Wu Tong didn't hesitate to greet her senior colleagues. Engineer Zun, Professor Feng, here are the detailed aerodynamic layouts for the conventional takeoff and landing versions of the Kanglong J35. You guys study them first while I consult Brother Lu on some questions. Lu Xiao was a leading figure in the field of aerospace dynamics in China. Wu Tong's work on the development and design of new missiles fell squarely within Lu Xiao's expertise, and she had been planning to set aside time for a video conference with him to discuss this matter. When it came to matters that could expedite progress, Wu Tong never hesitated to learn from others, drawing on their expertise and leveraging their strengths to overcome her own shortcomings. She didn't insist on forging ahead on her own, burdening herself with clumsy deductions step by step. While she certainly had the ability to deduce, wasting time poring over a problem she could easily solve was truly unwise. She didn't have the burden of self-importance to be bothered. A learned person is a teacher, there's no shame in seeking advice. Brother Lu, I've started a new project after the new year. It's preliminary research on upgraded air-to-air and ballistic missiles. I've tentatively named them the PL-17 and the F-17. The PL-17 air-to-air missile will be an upgrade of the existing PL-15, increasing its range and combat power. This is a step-by-step process. Currently, my main research area is still hypersonic missiles. Wu Tong discussed her current problems with Lu Xiao and the areas she had a rough idea of where to focus. Right now, the most critical part is Wu Tong's design for the single-head missile. Brother Lu, you understand better than I do that the parabolic trajectory of conventional missiles is too easily detected and intercepted by anti-missile systems. I want to build on the previous Jin-style trajectory and give ballistic missiles the trajectory-shifting capability of cruise missiles. Conventional conical warheads no longer meet my design requirements, based on dynamics, angle of attack, and air resistance. Wu Tong briefly explained her vision to Lu Xiao and the areas where she needed assistance. She needed Lu Xiao's assistance to complete the design of the new warhead, and subsequent launch vehicles would also be subject to innovation and optimization. If she was going to do something, she had to achieve the best possible result. Improvement is inevitable. From my perspective, we need to balance lift-to-drag ratio and volume efficiency, enabling the payload of a high-powered conventional warhead for hypersonic glide, and ensuring our target product has flexible horizontal and vertical maneuverability. As Wu Tong explained, Lu Xiao quickly caught up with his thoughts, synchronizing them and providing support in his area of expertise. Lu Xiao spared no effort, fully utilizing his knowledge of physics and dynamics to engage in a brainstorming session with Wu Tong, providing him with the necessary support and guidance. A new design, slowly emerging from these interactions, emerged from Wu Tong's vision. After seeing off Lu Xiao, Engineer Zun, and the others, Wu Tong gradually refined the warhead design layout, abandoning the traditional conical warhead for a new missile with a waverider aerodynamic shape. A waverider, an aerodynamic design suitable for hypersonic flight, allows the leading edge of the warhead to be entrained with an attached shock wave. This allows the warhead to generate additional lift from the shock wave, enabling it to perform a maneuver similar to skipping stones on water. Previous hypersonic glide warheads have all employed a biconical design. Biconical hypersonic glide warheads offer a slightly better lift-to-drag ratio than other designs, minimizing drag and extending their range. However, compared to the biconical design, the waverider's aerodynamic shape significantly enhances the lift-to-drag ratio. When launched, it appears to ride directly on the shock wave, making it less vulnerable to interception while also significantly extending its range. As for the extremely high material requirements imposed by this complex design, this issue is not difficult for Wu Tong to overcome. During the development of the PL-15 air-to-air missile, she conducted effective research on the missile body material, resulting in the development of a new special steel, Mach-4, which is inherently highly heat-resistant. However, while this material's performance is sufficient for the PL-15, which can reach speeds of Mach 6 and is adequate for use within the atmosphere, it's still insufficient for the hypersonic and even impact missiles she envisions. This is ultimately determined by the missile's performance. Hypersonic missiles start at speeds above Mach 5, or even higher. Wu Tong also aims to achieve even higher performance in pursuit of higher speeds, and thus, the material's performance requirements naturally increase proportionally. She needs to further enhance the missile's material's performance, achieving temperatures starting at 2000 to 3000 degrees Celsius while maintaining mechanical properties and even preventing burns. This demands material properties far beyond those achievable with simple steel. Wu Tong is also adept at alloy materials, and while pondering the problem, she also considers which material is best suited to withstand high temperatures. Chapter 332 Metal Base. Today, Wu Tong, through continuous and rapid learning, understanding, and the accumulation of time, has amassed a vast and extensive knowledge base, a walking library. He can readily access information on various materials. Instantly, detailed information on the top 10 high-temperature resistant materials in physics emerged from his memory and surfaced in his mind. Currently, the substance with the highest melting point in nature is hafnium alloy. Hafnium alloys contain the metallic element hafnium. The substance with the highest known melting point is its compound, hafnium tetratantalate pentacarbide, Ta4HFC5, which melts at 4215 degrees Celsius. Graphite, an allotrope of the element carbon, ranks second. Its melting point is 3,850 plus or minus 50 degrees Celsius, and its boiling point is 4,250 degrees Celsius. Even when subjected to ultra-high temperature arc heating, graphite experiences minimal weight loss and a low coefficient of thermal expansion. Graphite's strength increases with temperature, doubling at 2,000 degrees Celsius. In third place is diamond, commonly known as diamond, the original form of diamond. It's also a mineral composed of carbon, an allotrope of carbon, and the hardest known naturally occurring substance, with a melting point of 3,550 degrees Celsius. However, all of diamond's valence electrons are used in covalent bonds, leaving it with no free electrons and non-conductive. The top three have their own advantages and disadvantages, but all are somewhat unsuitable. Wu Tong focused more on tungsten, the fourth-ranked metal. Tungsten has an atomic number of 74, an atomic weight of 183.84, and a melting point of 3,400 degrees Celsius. It's steely gray or silvery white in color, and possesses high hardness, a high melting point, and resistance to air corrosion at room temperature, all advantages that make it an excellent choice for projectiles. Crucially, China is the world's largest tungsten reserve, preventing the international community from choking off tungsten reserves if it were to be used on a large scale. As the most heat-resistant metal, tungsten and its alloys have already caught the attention of aerospace researchers. Their high density and strength, the highest among refractory metals, are complemented by a high elastic modulus, low coefficient of expansion, and low vapor pressure. Tungsten alloys with added alloying elements exhibit excellent wear resistance, corrosion resistance, electrical conductivity, and thermal conductivity. The mechanical design and safety performance of aerospace equipment are closely related to the physical, chemical, and mechanical properties of the materials used. Tungsten metal possesses a range of excellent physical and chemical properties that meet the material performance requirements of aerospace applications, leading to its increasing widespread use in key components of satellites, aircraft, and aeroengines. Wu Tong's instinctive deduction and her unwavering confidence in her deductive direction also confirmed her choice. Pure tungsten's difficulty in processing and embrittlement make its direct use as a projectile material unacceptable. Otherwise, domestic projectile materials would have already been used, eliminating the need for her to develop new materials now. She needed to build on this foundation and develop a process technology that could properly utilize tungsten while maintaining its superior properties, thereby developing a new tungsten material for the crucial warhead material. Time slipped away quietly as Wu Tong worked on her research, bringing with it the breath of spring and the joy of a bountiful harvest. Single crystal technology, which could positively exploit and increase material properties, naturally drew Wu Tong's attention. After extensive calculations and deductions, she easily derived single crystal tungsten suitable for warhead material. The most challenging aspect of this step was determining the order in which the lattice arrangement extended. By this point, Wu Tong had a deeper understanding of the co-bonding effect, her specialty. Lattice arrangement, in Wu Tong's hands, had taken on a new dimension. Manuscripts piled up on the corner of her desk, verifying her initial breakthrough in hypersonic missiles. She carefully stored them in an open, secure box, and would later be stored in a safe for safekeeping. A faint smile played on Wu Tong's lips, a testament to her work. The successful derivation of the warhead material in the first step seemed to foreshadow success in the subsequent research. Seizing the opportunity, Wu Tong began the second step, researching the main material for the arrow shaft. Wu Tong prioritized tungsten metal because it improves the high-temperature hardness of steel. The performance parameters of Mach 4 specialty steel were already excellent, and Wu Tong further expanded upon this, using it as the primary projectile material. This derivation step, a further optimization of the existing foundation, was still not too difficult for Wu Tong. After a series of derivations and simulations, Wu Tong created the second primary projectile material, MCW1, a metal-based heat-resistant material with tungsten as its core. Metal matrix composites, MMCs, are composite materials composed of a metal or its alloy as a matrix, artificially bonded with one or more metal or non-metal reinforcements. Reinforcements are mostly inorganic nonmetals, such as ceramics, carbon, graphite, and boron, though a metal wire can also be used. They, along with polymer-based composites, ceramic-based composites, and carbon-carbon composites, constitute a modern composite material system. Although this was Wu Tong's first time working with metal-based materials, she understood that one principle leads to 100. After nearly 2 years and extensive research and development, Wu Tong achieved a breakthrough in materials research, achieving a breakthrough. She practically mastered the material world, applying it with ease. She innovated with a variety of materials, making them seem effortless and commanding complete control. The development of her innovative micro-nano-composite oxidation pressing technology filled a technological gap in China and laid the foundation for the development of metal-based materials. By combining nanoscale, ultra-high-temperature ceramic Mach-4 phases with a micron-sized tungsten matrix for coherent reinforcement, she achieved both ceramic reinforcement and refractory metal reinforcement, ultimately achieving high-temperature toughness, oxidation resistance, and lightweighting. At the same time, through the design of surface oxidation inhibition, a gradient composite ceramic thermal protection layer is formed by in situ growth on the surface of the substrate, which has a high thermal match and strong metallurgical bonding with the substrate. The nano-ceramic phase-reinforced refractory metal matrix composite material is prepared by micro-nano-composite in situ reaction, achieving the high temperature and high strength of the substrate, and the integrated design with the substrate, thereby achieving higher radiation, long-term oxidation resistance, and ablation resistance. In Wu Tong's predicted performance, this tungsten core metal-based heat-resistant material has tensile strength that matches the upper limit of ordinary alloy metals, and the high-temperature strength can be further improved, easily reaching 3000 MPa. It can also withstand ultra-high temperatures of 3000 without excessive burning and can maintain near-perfect mechanical properties. The main projectile material has been completed again, and the tensile strength and high-temperature resistance must be enhanced, but the weight cannot increase compared to the same period last year. The weight of the projectile is also a key factor affecting speed and maneuverability. Chapter 333 Blueprint. Not all weapons capable of reaching speeds of Mach 5 or above qualify as hypersonic. Generally speaking, conventional missiles can be divided into two categories: cruise missiles and ballistic missiles. Cruise missiles operate on a principle more similar to that of an aircraft. Their trajectory primarily remains within the atmosphere, subject to significant drag, resulting in relatively modest speeds. Most cruise missiles operate at subsonic speeds. For example, the Tomahawk cruise missile used by the U.S. Navy has a speed of only Mach 0.8. However, their advantage lies in their ability to perform flexible, high maneuvers like an aircraft, reducing the probability of interception. Ballistic missiles operate on a principle more similar to that of a rocket. After launch, they penetrate the atmosphere, gliding for a long distance in the nearly air-resistant atmosphere until they are near their target, re-entering the atmosphere and conducting a descent attack. Therefore, ballistic missiles can easily exceed the upper limit of cruise missiles. However, their nearly parabolic trajectory makes them easily predictable, increasing the risk of interception by missile defense systems. This was an unavoidable drawback. The primary reason for this limitation is the fuel limitations of ballistic missiles. To achieve the greatest possible range, they must strictly adhere to a parabola. Using maneuverable trajectory changes consumes significant fuel, potentially turning intercontinental missiles into long-range missiles, and long-range missiles into medium-range missiles. Secondly, this is due to imperfect control technology, materials, and processes. Repeated atmospheric transits, coupled with the need to precisely impact the target at the end, require sophisticated control methods and extremely high measurement and control accuracy. Furthermore, re-entry into the atmosphere requires the missile itself to withstand high temperatures. Therefore, mid-course trajectory changes for long-range missiles will remain unattainable for a considerable period of time. Wu Tong, of course, will not be satisfied with the status quo. Simply increasing the range would require no elaborate arrangements. Switching to high-energy N24 fuel would suffice. She is committed to changing this situation. Furthermore, her brilliant predecessors have already made significant breakthroughs, and Jin's ballistics theory has played an indelible role in this. However, due to the difficulty of applying Jin's ballistics, there have been no breakthroughs in its application in China. Wu Tong wanted to build upon this foundation and refine its application, achieving a breakthrough in its application, allowing it to demonstrate its true deterrent and unstoppable glory. During previous discussions with Liu Xiao, Wu Tong discovered the Waverider warhead design, which would help increase the trajectory change capability of the new ballistic missile and provide it with a powerful boost. Feeling that simply optimizing the warhead design was insufficient, Wu Tong added a body-assisted design. After meticulous deductions and simulations, Wu Tong ultimately settled on a design that incorporated Jin's ballistics and a separate booster stage. After ignition, the missile rapidly ascends to near space, where the Waverider separates from the boost stage and maneuvers at hypersonic speeds within the dense atmosphere. It can perform multiple jumps at or within the atmosphere, as well as extensive lateral maneuvers within or beyond the atmosphere. The mid-stage parabola is transformed into a serpentine maneuvering curve that repeatedly traverses the atmosphere and space. The Waverider warhead can also automatically evade anti-missile systems and deliver a devastating strike on its intended target. Furthermore, after the Waverider's ascent booster separates, it can avoid the previous inertial ballistic flight and, based on the diffraction of the Jin trajectory, re-enter the atmosphere and begin a hypersonic glide. This glide occurs at or within the atmosphere, making it a formidable target for existing anti-missile systems designed primarily to intercept ballistic missile warheads. Furthermore, its exceptional speeds could reach anywhere in the world within an hour. This design places extremely high demands on both kinetic energy and materials. However, these two challenges are the least of Wu Tong's concerns. For her, the most challenging aspect was the lack of direction. With a general design direction in mind, Wu Tong continued to research and develop materials, quickly finalizing the carbon fiber composite material for the wings and vertical stabilizer, as well as the crucial heat dissipation structure design, complemented by Wu Tong's upgraded ultra-high temperature coating. With this, the entire missile's heat-resistant material was ready. Focusing on material development for protection, while also developing cooling and heat dissipation structure designs, Wu Tong mastered the dual-directional frontal integration. With the materials secured, the next step was engine development. From fighter jet engines to air-to-air missile engines, Wu Tong's expertise in aerospace engines has been unwavering. Her expertise in this field is undeniably profound and unparalleled. The development of N-24 superfuel, which previously limited traditional engine fuel, has eliminated the fuel constraints of catapults. With the same fuel, they now have the foundation for high consumption trajectory changes while maintaining range. The scramjet engine could be further optimized for use on the PL-17, but for the DF-17, further simplification was required, retaining the supersonic, hypersonic ramjet kinetic energy. The structure needed to be simple, with no rotating compressor components, while maintaining extremely high propulsion efficiency. Wu Tong enumerated her engine requirements one by one. Behind the simplicity of the structure lay enormous challenges in terms of the operating principles. She gradually mapped out the engine blueprint she needed, gradually refining and filing it in. Her eyes lit up, her direction clear. Conventional turbojet engines burn at subsonic speeds within their combustion chambers, but the flames of new scramjet engines burn at hypersonic speeds, making ignition extremely difficult. The difficulty was comparable to striking a match in a Force 12 Typhoon. By using atmospheric oxygen as an oxidizer, the missile only needed to carry fuel, increasing propulsion efficiency and potentially reaching over 4 times that of rocket propulsion. This allowed aerodynamic control surfaces to provide control torque while in the atmosphere, allowing the missile to change targets mid-flight. The aerodynamic control surfaces are another key component. They are also the key to achieving the integration of ballistic and cruise missiles, enabling the DF-17 to achieve both the trajectory change capability of a cruise missile and the super speed requirements of a ballistic missile. The scramjet engine and super energy fuel give the new DF-17 superpower, providing the power and fuel requirements for maneuvering and trajectory change. For Wu Tong, the entire development process is like a game of challenges. As old problems are solved, new ones arise. Overcoming each obstacle, assembling a cohesive whole, and ultimately reaching the door to success, the reward is the successful completion of the achievement. Chapter 334 Spring Warmth. As the winter jasmine blossomed and the peach trees burst into bloom, February slipped by silently, and March quietly arrived. The air of spring was already thick in Shangjing. Even with a few chilly days still lingering, the eager young people were already shedding their bulky winter coats and donning bright spring attire. In this beautiful moment of spring warmth and blooming flowers, Wu Tong declared her overall research and development progress complete. The complete design and development plans for the PL-17 air-to-air missile, with a range of 800 kilometers and a speed exceeding Mach 6, and the DF-17 hypersonic missile, with a range of 3,000 kilometers and a speed exceeding Mach 10, were both finalized. Hypersonic penetration, terminal maneuvering, Jin-style trajectory, precision strike range within 50 meters, and Waverider warheads, all transformed from initial concepts into fully realized designs, were truly mature, having undergone extensive physical assembly simulation testing within our deductive space, ready for direct research and development. Teacher, Brother Su, Tao Ran, I'm going to have to work hard again. I need your cooperation in the research and development of new materials. Divide into groups and prepare the experiments. Based on the need for heat resistance, I've developed a metal-based heat-resistant material with tungsten as the core. This is the material research and development plan, and I need your cooperation to tackle the key challenges. Tao Ran, you're familiar with this, so you'll lead the experimental verification. With a plan finalized, Wu Tong immediately convened a core team meeting to begin the material preparation and verification process. This was their first time working with metal-based heat-resistant materials, and the entire institute had little experience. While Wu Tong was outlining the key points of the material preparation process, he also explained the core concepts of metal-based heat-resistant materials to the two key experts, ensuring they grasped the key concepts and deeply ingrained the principle of cultivating their own team. Brother, you previously worked on the single crystal technology for the T5 blade material. This time, you'll lead the team in the single crystal tungsten preparation experiments. As a family member, Wu Tong didn't hesitate to greet Ruan Chengsu and directly assigned the task. They had previously worked on single crystal technology, and Brother Su could take on the lead. For now, they would establish two experimental preparation teams, allowing Wu Tong to oversee both and address any issues as they arose. Brother Su, Tao Ran, do you understand? Wu Tong looked at the two men entrusted with the important task. Success or failure depended on their management and operations. We'll go down and prepare the experiments. Tao Ran and Ruan Chengsu received the order without a single stutter, immediately setting to work. Less than a month after the new year, President Wu had already completed several material R&D and design projects. Such achievements, such meticulous training, made them truly a source of pride. As the pillars of the institute, they had received such meticulous training, and they must give their all. Wu Tong's training must not go to waste. After the meeting, Wu Tong stayed with Chang Lao to discuss matters related to external relations. She needed to consult with a professor. She was never afraid of research. But arranging external liaisons was Wu Tong's weakness. Her rise to prominence was rapid, and she excelled at independent research. Aside from the senior researchers she'd grown familiar with through collaborating on projects, she still had little exposure to the scientific research community. She needed to catch up. Teacher, since the beginning of the year, I've been busy with the missile upgrades. Things have been going well. With breakthroughs in the PL-17 air-to-air missile and the DF-17 supersonic long-range ballistic missile, we've established a project for air-to-air missiles. It would be wise to work with President Tu, who's currently in charge of the DF series, ballistic missiles. Intercontinental ballistic missiles. Cheng Huinan was astonished. Even though he'd always known Wu Tong's breadth of expertise, he was still amazed by her scope. He knew his young apprentice had the skills to develop the PL series of air-to-air missiles, so further upgrades like the PL-17 were a natural progression. With the arrival of two powerful fighter jets, Wu Tong was undoubtedly adding to the strengths of the Kunpeng and Kanglong. But he never anticipated that Wu Tong would also achieve breakthroughs in ballistic missiles, spanning another major area. The difficulty involved here is far beyond Wu Tong's ability to simply describe. Well, perhaps for this young disciple, someone whose imagination transcends the bounds of human imagination, it really isn't that difficult. Yes, the ballistic missile. I incorporated some of the cruise missile's trajectory change capabilities, relying on Jin's ballistic diffraction design, taking the best of both worlds. It took me almost a month to overcome all the obstacles. Brother Su and Tao Ran are responsible for the W1 single crystal tungsten material and the new metal-based material W2, respectively. These are auxiliary materials for the DF-17's new hypersonic long-range ballistic missile. Wu Tong breathed a sigh of relief. Throughout mid to late February, and even into early March, she was almost non-stop in preparation and research. Finally, she'd nailed it. Well, it wasn't easy. Others struggle, taking 3 to 5 years, even 10 years to finally achieve a small breakthrough. Wu Tong's was also quite difficult, achieving 2 major achievements in just over 3 weeks in less than a month. Truly, this era is the age of the young. The DF series is currently being primarily developed by the Second Research Institute under the Aviation Group. The current leaders are General Manager Zhu Dingjin and General Manager Hua Yangxing, known as the two Iron Ladies of the missile industry, and a heroine who is no less capable than any man. Cheng Huinan raised an eyebrow inwardly, then pondered and recollected before giving Wu Tong a positive answer. He has been active in the materials industry for many years, and has been involved in numerous R&D projects related to the aerospace sector. He is, if not completely privy to the subject, well informed about the field. These are all classified units. Contact Commander Chu and have him act as a go-between for introductions and arrangements, Cheng Huinan advised Wu Tong. His apprentice's achievements were impressive, and a top-down approach was the fastest way to advance the project. If they were to handle the project on their own, they might not be ignored, but at the very least, their level of cooperation would prevent Wu Tong from taking the lead. Although he hadn't yet seen the DF-17 design, having witnessed its numerous achievements firsthand, Cheng Huinan was confident that Wu Tong's work was anything but ordinary, so he offered his direct and sincere advice. Only by taking full control of a research project could it progress according to her vision. Okay, Professor, I'll contact Director Chu later, Wu Tong nodded. She thought so too, but she wasn't overthinking it. She was used to reporting to Director Chu whenever she had a result and arranging the project's progress. These two projects, apparently two major ones, had to be approved. Director Chu had to be informed to allow him room to prepare. She also relied on the research department to allocate funds. The small amount of funds in her institute's account was enough for initial material research and development, but it was a drop in the bucket to support the development of these two major projects. Chapter 335, Tightening. Commander Chu, reporting. I've derived two missile optimization plans. One is, Wu Tong succinctly outlined the two optimization breakthroughs and forecast data, reporting them to Chu Hengyan. The R&D and preparation projects have been established, and you'll be needed to coordinate the relevant procedures. Got it, Mr. Wu? Please wait a moment. I'll begin the coordination immediately. The air-to-air missile boasted an 800-kilometer range, while the ballistic missile boasted a 3,000-kilometer range and terminal trajectory maneuverability. Each of these capabilities left Chu Hengyan in disbelief, feeling as if he were in a dream. Speeds exceeding Mach 10, the ability to maintain the Jin-style trajectory at hypersonic speeds, terminal trajectory maneuverability, intercept avoidance, and powerful penetration capabilities. Each of these features was a highly sought-after missile capability. However, it was Wu Tong who spoke these words. Based on Mr. Wu's previous impressive achievements, the data she reported represented neither achievement nor failure, only transcendental combat results. All of this was capable of translating into real, tangible results, and he immediately attached great importance to it. Regarding the PL series, President Hu is no stranger to President Wu and is well aware of his abilities. This is a good arrangement. The key lies in the Second Research Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Chu Hengyan sorted out the key points and immediately made a call. The first call Chu Hengyan made was to Lin Hemming, the head of the aviation group. The Second Research Institute of Aeronautical Engineering is a research institute under the aviation group. These are two breakthroughs in the aerospace field, so Lin Hemming must be informed. As for the project funding, they, the aviation group, will take the lead. It's just the beginning of the year, and the aviation group is officially strong, so he won't be soft-handed. President Lin, I have good news for you. President Wu has made a new breakthrough in research and development, missile optimization. After a few simple data were reported, Lin Hemming immediately understood the importance of it. These are two breakthrough projects that are ahead of the world's advanced level and even widen the gap. Commander Chu, I understand. I'll liaise with the Second Aviation Research Institute. Please liaise with the Navy, Army, and Air Force, the three armed forces. They have to shoulder some of the funding. They can't just hold the aviation group hostage and exploit it. The aviation group certainly wouldn't refuse the funding for such a major breakthrough. However, since it's something that can be used by both the Army, Navy, and Air Force, they need to bring in a few major players to share the burden and alleviate some of the pressure on the aviation group. The aviation group doesn't have much surplus funding, and countless project teams and research institutes are desperately waiting for funding from the aviation group. He's now following Commander Chu's lead, demanding results and feasible plans. He's raising the standards for project approval at the aviation group, promoting the capable over the incompetent, and deeply adhering to the simplest truth. He's also hoping for more breakthroughs from General Wu, and he's set aside some funds for him, keeping them untouchable. He can't let those companies that actually need the equipment just give him a pass. We need to contribute what we can, but we can't let them take advantage and then talk nonsense. It's a pain in the ass. All the frustration he'd endured over the years of dealing with them finally came to light through Mr. Wu, allowing him to experience their straightforward, quick-fix approach. No more haggling. Okay, I'll handle the liaison, Chu Hengin immediately agreed. Sharing the burden was a possibility. We couldn't rely solely on the R&D department and the aviation group. Those three parties would have to pay the price. Chu Hengin was busy making arrangements, and Lin Hemming, too, personally went to meet with Mr. Zhu, the head of the Second Aerospace Research Institute. Welcome, Mr. Lin, to the Second Aerospace Research Institute. Mr. Zhu Dingjin, who had been notified, hurried out to greet Lin Hemming. You didn't even tell me you were coming. I didn't even have time to greet you. Zhu Dingjin wasn't particularly sociable, but by nature he was focused and straightforward, completely devoted to his research. I need something urgent, so I came to see you, President Zhu. Let's find a meeting room where we can talk. Lin Hemming didn't mind Zhu Dingjin's blunt words that sounded like a complaint. Knowing that these scientific research leaders were under time pressure, he got straight to the point. There were many people outside and top-secret data must not be leaked outside. Otherwise, he wouldn't have to make this trip in person. Then come to my office. Zhu Dingjin was puzzled. What kind of confidential matter required the head of the aerospace group to come and inform her in person? However, she didn't speculate too much and immediately led Lin Hemming into her office. His office and R&D laboratory were the safest and most confidential places in the entire Second Academy of Aerospace. After serving tea and leaving the office, only Lin Hemming and Zhu Dingjin were seated as the host and guest. Boss Lin, what's the big deal? I need your cooperation on a new project. Before Lin Hemming could finish, Zhu Dingjin frowned and said sternly, a new project? The Institute's current R&D projects are already nearly full. We can't take on a new one, and I can't spare the time, right? Her eyes were sharp, filled with suspicion. Did the higher-ups want to mess around? They were fully focused on developing the DF-16, and the schedule was tight. Assigning her a new project? Would that be disruptive? Not to mention she wouldn't have the energy to handle it all. Even if she could, there was no point in concentrating all the projects on her. It was unscientific. Researchers hate it when an amateur gives orders to the experts. Was Lin Hemming getting carried away? Boss Zhu, don't worry. When have I ever been so foolish? Just listen to me, Lin Hemming laughed. He knew this would happen. Boss Zhu Dingjin, as capable as she was just as stubborn as she was. So, out of caution, he went to visit her in person. Zhu Dingjin raised her eyes and stared at Lin Hemming, waiting for his explanation. After all, he was the general manager of the aerospace group, so due respect was due. She also wanted to see what this guy could say. If it was unreasonable, no matter how beautiful the words were, she would stick to her bottom line and disagree. The DF-17 project is about to be approved and enter the R&D process. It requires an experienced academic leader and field support. This is an urgent task, and we need your cooperation. DF-17? You don't have a fever, do you? Why was he talking nonsense in broad daylight? The DF-16 is still under development, so where does the DF-17 come from? Was he daydreaming? Zhu Dingjin tried her best to control her emotions, but her tone was still unpleasant. She was busy as hell, and she didn't take time out to listen to Lin wasting time on jokes like this. Yes, you heard it right. What I'm going to say next is top secret. You're the only one who knows. The DF-17, a land-based ballistic missile with precision guidance, a range of 3,000 kilometers, hypersonic speed, Jin-style trajectory, terminal trajectory change, solid fuel propulsion, and the ability to penetrate the Aegis system. The complete design plan is already in place. Ignoring Zhu Dingjin's doubts, Lin Hemming continued, listing off the shocking parameters one by one. Chapter 336 Confirmation. Boss Lin, are you sure you're not kidding me? You know our current project. While it aims to fill the gap between the DF-15 and the F-21 missiles and improve the medium-range strike system, our target is only 1,500 kilometers. Zhu Dingjin was on the verge of exploding. They were still perfecting the plan. The DF-16 was still under development, not yet fully finalized. And now Linz Hemming was telling her that the DF-17 had a complete and sound plan? And in every parameter, it was absolutely superior to the DF-16 they were currently developing. Or should I say superior, but more like double the size? Is that even possible? Is he dreaming? The other side of the sea didn't even dare to say they could achieve these data and parameters. Did they think their Aegis anti-missile system was just for free? Mr. Zhu, I'm absolutely certain. I'm not kidding, nor am I dreaming or fanciful. Everything is real. If everything goes smoothly, we can achieve both R&D and production within the next 3 months. I guarantee it with my life. Linz Hemming nodded deeply in confirmation. He couldn't be more certain of Wu Tong. Wu Tong's proven track record, her transcendent achievements, had forged his unwavering confidence. You've noticed the rapid rise of our fighter jets over the past 2 years, haven't you? The J-20, the H-20, and the already successfully flown Kanglong J-35, all of these figures are world-beating. This is all the fruitful result of the deep involvement and optimization efforts of the DF-17's developers. She's also the developer of the PL-15 and the soon-to-be-launched PL-17. Each of these projects, which might have taken 20 years to develop, has been transformed into production-ready aircraft in less than 2 years. The resulting scientific and technological progress is enough to allow China to fully utilize the previous decade, and the resulting savings in R&D costs, time, and effort are immeasurable. Wu Tong's contributions are now unparalleled. Although not explicitly stated, he and Commander Chu share a tacit understanding. Wu Tong's R&D projects take precedence. All approved projects are given the green light, handled with swift implementation. So, to prevent this bewildered CEO Zhu from becoming irritable and uncooperative, Linz Hemming personally came and explained everything to her. CEO Zhu had sufficient authority to explain everything. Even the hyper-energy ammunition and hyper-energy fuel N-24U previously provided for the DF-16 were all single-handedly developed by her. As Linz Hemming explained, Zhu Dingjin's expression went from excitement to astonishment in a matter of seconds. Were all these achievements the work of a single person? Aren't they the research results of multiple teams, or a single, highly confidential group? Zhu Dingjin had always assumed these were the results of research conducted by multiple teams, and he urged himself to work even harder and not lose touch. Many within the Second Academy of Aeronautics speculated that the successful implementation of the National Talent Program had fostered one or more top-tier research teams, whose concentrated efforts in aviation had unleashed cutting-edge technology, allowing their fighter jets to leapfrog the world's most advanced aircraft and truly dominate the skies. Perhaps it wasn't just her and her research team who were speculating. The Chinese who were following this news, and even intelligence-gathering agencies in other countries, were probably tracking it in this direction. Now, Linz Hemming told her, was all this done by one person? Is it certain that the sun rises in the east today, not the west? No, I need to see it for myself. If it's true, I will fully cooperate. If the aforementioned data could truly be achieved, then the development of the DF-17 would definitely be prioritized. The DF-16, which they were currently working on, wouldn't be ashamed to simply halt it, facing elimination or to major revisions. While it was a shame for their project, she was absolutely delighted to see such a significant advancement in domestic missiles. She still had some sense of national pride. Yes, but only you have the authority to meet her directly. Her existence is currently known only to a few trusted individuals who are absolutely confidential. Linz Hemming nodded in agreement. This was already part of the plan. Wu Tong needed to leverage the support of General Zhu and the Second Academy of Aeronautical Engineering to develop, manufacture, and deploy the DF-17. He would have to have close ties with General Zhu, and they had already planned to introduce Wu Tong to Zhu Dingjin. You are a leading expert in this field. Whether it's feasible or not will become clear when you see the R&D and design plans, Linz Hemming said with a smile. Zhu Dingjin's diligence and perseverance were admirable, but it was just a bit of persuasion on his part. This was his mission. General Lin, wait a moment. I'll make some arrangements. We'll be leaving now. Researchers are known for their decisive nature. Zhu Dingjin, torn between truth and falsehood, knew she couldn't concentrate on her research. She made a quick decision to meet the DF-17 developer immediately. She also wanted to meet this national treasure. Putting aside the DF-17's feasibility, even from the projects she'd previously participated in and the simple data and parameters she'd learned, she could sense the tremendous progress their aviation fighter program had made. When had such a formidable figure emerged in China, and yet she hadn't received any news? It seemed either the country's protection of this person was incredibly strong, or she'd genuinely neglected him. For the past 2 years, she'd been completely focused on developing new projects, and she'd truly had no time to pay much attention to the outside world. Okay, let's go right over there. You go about your business, and I'll say hello, Lin's Hemming readily agreed. With President Zhu's cooperation, the rest was easy. He was confident that this person would be as impressed by Wu Tong's miracles as President Liu, Engineer Zun, and President Yang had been before. His research and development achievements and design plans were the ultimate guarantee. As he'd said, President Zhu was a leading figure in the entire domestic missile field. While she might not yet reach President Wu's level of expertise, she certainly possessed the foresight to determine whether a proposal was truly feasible. Upon meeting Wu Tong and seeing the R&D plan, President Zhu naturally understood the source of his confidence. Zhu Dingjun was quick, making arrangements in just 20 minutes, briefing the research team, and immediately setting off with Lin's Hemming. She remained deeply curious about the researchers she was about to meet, yet also held a deep admiration and respect. Any single achievement would have been unprecedented. Let alone the fact that they were all accomplished by a single individual, it was a sheer miracle. Chapter 337 Rigorous. They drove straight ahead, and when Zhu Dingjun finally saw the direction clearly, the vehicle had already entered. Zhu Dingjun's eyes were sharp, and he had already seen the magnificent plaque above when he entered the door. Are we at Shangjing University? That developer is from Shangjing University? Is he Mr. Chang? Zhu Dingjun was not from Shangjing University, but he was no stranger to Shangjing University, the most prestigious institution of learning in the country. He had even worked closely with several top leaders at Shangjing University. However, if she remembered correctly, Mr. Cheng Huinan should be focused on the materials sector. She hadn't heard that he also researched fighter jets? If so, she would not have been unaware of it. He is related to Mr. Chang, but he is not Mr. Chang. As they spoke, they had already arrived in front of the Beijing University Interdisciplinary Research Institute. This was his first visit here, and he had greeted him in advance. Only after getting Wu Tong's permission did he really decide to bring the person here. Lin's Hemming wasn't being secretive, withholding the real information from Zhu Dingjun. Rather, since this concerned Wu Tong, Zhu Dingjun should meet her in person and experience it for himself. The indescribable wonders of her presence surpassed any further explanation. Wu Tong's presence and significance were beyond his reach. Mr. Lin, Mr. Zhu, welcome to the Peking University Interdisciplinary Research Institute. Let's go upstairs. Elder Cheng accompanied Wu Tong to the institute's entrance. Since it was inconvenient to talk outside, Elder Cheng immediately suggested they discuss the details upstairs. Zhu Dingjun's message was delayed, and since she was so absorbed in her research that she hadn't attended this year's Science and Technology Awards conference, she had assumed Elder Cheng and his students were greeting her. It wasn't until she entered the institute and heard Lin's Hemming's order of greeting that she sensed something was amiss. Lin's Hemming treated this young woman with even more respect than Elder Cheng, addressing her as Mr. So-and-so, a title not reserved for casual business practices. Who is this young woman? Mr. Wu, Mr. Cheng, I'm here with Mr. Zhu. Mr. Zhu wants to speak to Mr. Wu in person. Lin's Hemming greeted Wu Tong and Mr. Cheng with a smile, stating the purpose of their visit. Thank you for your hard work. This is what you should do. I'll explain it in detail to Mr. Zhu later. Wu Tong thanked him. She and Mr. Chu had only reported the matter a day ago, and Mr. Lin had directly invited Mr. Zhu to come in person. This deep trust was really comforting. They were not here for a visit. The elevator went directly to the 5th floor. Wu Tong led the group into her office and sat them down in the reception area. Nice to meet you. I'm Wu Tong. Hello, Mr. Zhu. Thank you for taking the trouble to come here in person. Wu Tong looked at Zhu Dingjun across from her and greeted him with the courtesy of a junior. Mr. Zhu, this is our national treasure, Wu Tong, a student of Professor Cheng. He's even better than his master in materials science. He's the chief consultant for the J20 and H20, and the chief designer for the J35. He's the developer of the bidirectional high-energy material N24, and the prover of the Goldbach conjecture and the Navier-Stokes equation. Lin's Hemming carefully introduced him to Zhu Dingjun. This was the person they were really visiting today. Mr. Cheng, you're all familiar with him, so I won't overdo it and introduce him. While there was a lot of information about Mr. Wu online, it was all just a smokescreen, a cover-up that had permeated every aspect of his career. There was virtually no detailed information or footage of Mr. Wu circulating outside. I'm uninformed. Heroes have always emerged from youth, and today I've broadened my horizons. Zhu Dingjun was deeply shocked, his face radiating from his heart. She had assumed that any miracles could be accomplished by a middle-aged man in his prime. Without sufficient experience and strong scientific research capabilities, he would never achieve the feats Linz Hemming had described. But now, Linz Hemming was introducing her to someone who, seemingly young, had accomplished all of these feats. She was completely stunned and filled with disbelief. Was this young person even 20 years old? She looked roughly the age of a freshman. She had heard that the Goldbach conjecture and the Navier-Stokes equations had been solved by a domestic genius, but she hadn't previously connected that news to Wu Tong. Wu Tong's youth had surpassed her expectations. Even with Linz Hemming's repeated affirmations, Zhu Dingjun still harbored a strong suspicion that Linz Hemming was joking. Mr. Zhu, please take a look. This is the design for the new DF-17 missile. Let's discuss its feasibility. Rather than explaining her resume, Wu Tong preferred to speak with facts. It was natural for people to question her youth. The trust her predecessors had placed in her was based on their knowledge of her research. Mr. Zhu didn't know her well, so it was natural for him to have some doubts. Wu Tong didn't dwell on it much. Her age certainly might raise doubts, but Wu Tong felt that her unwavering faith in her own abilities was sufficient. Her achievements made age seem irrelevant. Wu Tong pulled the DF-17 development and design plans from her desk for Zhu Dingjun to review. Data speaks for itself. No amount of rhetoric could be as reliable as data parameters. The design plans were here. She would personally verify their feasibility. Wu Tong's confidence alleviated some of Zhu Dingjun's doubts. However, to truly let go, she still needed her own verification. Thank you, Mr. Wu, for your understanding. Mr. Chang, we're all in scientific research, and you all know that research is never as simple as you imagine. Even one of the conditions Lin Zhuang and I described would require long and arduous research, and might not even be achievable. Now that so many of these requirements have converged, it's hard to imagine, were they truly capable of achieving this? Rigorous scientific research is the foundation of scientific research, a fundamental quality of scientists, and a crucial guarantee for the recognition of scientific achievements. I understand, Mr. Zhu, you don't need to explain. Scientific research requires caution, and your attitude is correct, Wu Tong said with an understanding smile. As the head of a major scientific research institution and a key research team, if Zhu Dingjun was the type to readily believe anything anyone said, she wouldn't have achieved this position. Every researcher possesses a certain stubbornness, a source of self-confidence and a commitment to upholding scientific rigor. It's also a sense of responsibility. Their rigorous approach to research not only permeates their personalities, but also permeates every aspect of their being. They perpetually maintain a skepticism of what lies beyond their understanding, a desire to explore and test. It is precisely these qualities that drive them forward, contributing to the current flourishing of scientific research in China. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 338 Deployment. Wu Tong, having personally worked in the scientific research field, understood the principles involved and could empathize with them, so naturally, she had no objections to Zhu Dingjun. Do you have a confidentiality agreement? Give me a copy so I can sign it and then look at it. Zhu Dingjun glanced deeply at Wu Tong and his companion, Elder Chang, and suppressed his anxiety, not immediately opening the blueprints. As a veteran researcher, she was well aware of the necessary rules, and without Wu Tong's clarification, she brought them up herself. Since multiple confidential projects were involved, Wu Tong should have no shortage of in-depth confidentiality agreements. She had just learned that any of Wu Tong's known scientific research achievements, since they had not been heard of outside, must have required special confidentiality. Signing a confidentiality agreement was a matter of principle. In reality, she already had 70 to 80% confidence. It was all true. Linz Hemming, the head of the aviation group, Cheng Huanan, a mastermind in the materials industry, Chu Hengyan, the head of the R&D department, and the members of the project's Linz Hemming had mentioned to her. Each of these individuals, if they made a move, would send shockwaves through the scientific research world. The possibility of them colluding to fabricate information for a young woman was practically non-existent. She remembered Mr. Wu as coming from a humble background. Even if you were from a more prominent family, it was impossible for these three to pull off such a monstrous lie, sacrificing their career prospects and personal dignity. Of course, please, Wu Tong pulled out a confidentiality agreement, which the security department had carefully reviewed for her, and handed it to Zhu Dingjun with both hands. Zhu Dingjun didn't hesitate, flipping through it briefly. Seeing most of the confidential information familiar to her, she carefully signed her name at the end. Then, she carefully took the blueprint Wu Tong handed her and opened it. The meticulous specifications and smooth blueprints instantly filled her eyes, and her expression shifted from questioning to deeply fascinated. In her eyes, those design lines were indescribably beautiful. A connoisseur knows the difference with a single stroke. Instantly, Zhu Dingjun was captivated by the blueprint, oblivious to everything else, completely absorbed in it, periodically gesturing with her hands. Yes, that's how it should be. This way, it will provide the best maneuverability. This unique design breaks through previous limitations. Zhu Dingjun was a quintessential expert in missile technology. In 1999, before she turned 40, she had become the chief designer of a specific aerospace model. Before the age of 27, she had spent 12 years honing her skills in the aerospace industry. Since then, she has made significant contributions to China's aerospace industry through her expertise, becoming a truly exceptional woman in the aerospace industry and a force for national pride. Not only was she proficient in missile research, design, and manufacturing, she also served as chief designer and researcher for a series of projects at the China Academy of Launch Vehicle Technology. Her resume, the kind that would fill a thick stack, showcased her long-standing research in ground-to-ground tactical ballistic missile technology and a hallmark of a technical master. As soon as Wu Tong's design came into her sight, she keenly sensed its astonishing value. After careful study, she felt deeply that she had come to the right place. Fortunately, she hadn't dismissed it outright. She had been superficial before. There truly are such astonishingly gifted individuals in this world as Wu Tong, Ms. Wu. In her early 20s, she has accomplished so many miracles. The DF-17 design in her hands is one of those miracles on her list of honors. Fortunately, she wasn't arrogant, as this would have been disrespectful of such a monumental achievement. The solution to the Jin's ballistics problem, revealed in this single drawing, was enough to astonish both domestically and internationally. The Jin's ballistics problem, commonly known as the Jin's trajectory, was a concept proposed by Professor Jin in the 1940s for a new missile trajectory. Its initial proposal sparked heated international debate, but for a long time, no one could truly answer it. While theoretically feasible, practical implementation is far from easy, as countless factors must be considered. However, it's widely known that the Jin-Zuzan ballistics proposed by Professor Jin is a crucial direction for missile development. Researchers at home and abroad have delved into Jin's ballistics, but to date, no one has truly mastered it. However, now, the miracle of Jin's ballistics solution is truly before her. This single research achievement alone is enough to highlight the 30-year gap between them and those across the sea. Wu Tong, thank you for showing me what true top talent looks like. Zhu Dingjun was deeply moved by this truly magnificent design and achievement. This was something she had tirelessly pursued her entire life, and Wu Tong had given her a glimpse of the glory she had envisioned. You're too kind. I've only furthered the foundation you laid. My true gratitude goes to you, the veterans who have been at the forefront of domestic missile and aviation development. Wu Tong's words came from a sincere heart. Without the foundations these predecessors blazed with painstaking efforts, there wouldn't be the small progress I've made today. Building on their foundation, Wu Tong was delighted with her design, but she wasn't complacent. She remembered that a few years later, China had also successfully built the DF-17, its advanced technology stunning the world. She simply took it a step further, plucked the strings of scientific research, and brought this success even sooner. Small progress. Zhu Dingjun turned his gaze to Elder Chang. Was your young disciple's understanding of achievements somewhat unusual? Wu Tong said it was a small progress, so it is. Elder Chang spread his hands. He took the blame, but there was no need to waste time dwelling on such innocuous details. Mr. Zhu, have you finished reading it? What do you think? He simply took the reins himself, asking directly and extending an invitation, "Would you like to join the DF-17 project team?" If they didn't currently need to leverage the Second Academy of Aeronautical Engineering's mature systems to quickly build the DF-17, get it through testing and into service, they could have handled all the steps themselves if they had the time. "Of course I'd like to," Zhu Dingjun nodded decisively without hesitation. "I'll go back and arrange the projects on hand as soon as possible, and mobilize enough personnel to devote to the development of the DF-17. They already had a complete design model, so they would definitely focus on the promising and even superior DF-17. Scientific research has always been a priority. The DF-16 was designed as a supplementary medium-range missile, so it wouldn't be on the verge of being scrapped along with the DF-17 project. Once the DF-17 was developed, its world-leading technologies could also be fed back into the DF-17. Chapter 339 Must Do. Let's apply for project approval right now. Such a high-level design must be approved. Mr. Wu is truly talented. This design alone will put our missiles 10 years ahead of the world. The Jin family's ballistics problem is so difficult that no one has been able to fully solve it in the past few decades. It's not certain someone will solve it in the next decade. They're truly at the forefront. Such an extraordinary design demands high material properties. Current conventional missile materials probably can't withstand the impact of such high-speed maneuvering loads and high temperatures. This is a major hurdle to overcome. Every day we get the project approved gives us another day to solve it. We should aim to overcome all difficulties within 2 to 3 years. Zhu Dingjun was incredibly decisive. Having accepted Wu Tongchang Huinen's invitation, he immediately began planning. "Master Chang, we still need your continued expertise on the material supplier." Her expertise lay in missile technology, and Master Chang was a true master when it came to materials. This was her student's exceptional design, so she was the first person she needed help with. Zhu Dingjun simply wanted to ask Master Chang for help. Although, she didn't quite understand how Master Chang Huinen, a lifelong materials scientist, could have produced such a brilliant apprentice in mathematics and missile technology. Did he choose the wrong major? The optimal design already existed, they simply needed to overcome the materials challenge. This was arguably the project with the fewest challenges she'd ever faced since she'd led the team, and once they did, the results would surely be dazzling and astounding. Materials? Haha. Mr. Zhu, you've got the wrong person. Cheng Huinen gave a mischievous smile, gesturing to the young apprentice beside him. This child has inherited my legacy and has already surpassed me. In materials research and development, she's unmatched in China, if not the world. My guidance to this child has been just the beginning in materials, and I'm not ashamed to call her my teacher, and, judging by Wu Tong's usual style, the material solution must have already been developed. Teacher, you're making me feel ashamed. Once a teacher, always a teacher. You'll always be my teacher, no matter the time, Wu Tong replied to Chang, then turned to Zhu Dingjun. Mr. Zhu, I'm quite adept at materials and have already conducted research and development of related technologies. I'll lead the team in testing and overcoming them later. Please arrange your current tasks first. Give me 2 weeks at most to test all the materials. I've also done further development of the engine. As for the guidance system, Mr. Lu Zhao and I are in discussions. I'd appreciate your overall project supervision and arrangements. You're more experienced in this area. My lab is fine for materials research and development, but it's a bit limited for RDF-17, Wu Tong smiled shyly. Her lab's initial design and layout focused on mathematical physics and materials research and development. Limited resources meant they couldn't afford to combine resources, so they needed to leverage the comprehensive systems of the Second Academy of Aeronautics and Astronautics and Mr. Zhu's project experience to coordinate arrangements. Please wait 2 weeks while I fine-tune the material preparation process experiments here, and once it's ready for production, we can move on to the final wind tunnel simulation and manufacturing R&D process. Wu Tong estimated the time needed for her experimental verification, adding an extra 2 or 3 days to account for any unexpected events, and reported a full 2 weeks. You already have a material R&D and manufacturing plan. Zhu Dingjun's usual composure was truly lost this time, his mouth practically gaping in shock. The aerodynamic layout was already developed, and even the most difficult material hurdle had been overcome. Had she misheard? Haha. Mr. Zhu, materials research is Mr. Wu's forte. The significant differences between the Weilong, Kunpeng, and Kanglong aircraft all stem from Wu Tong's material design. Wu Tong is also a leader in aerospace engines. Our new fighter jets engine, as well as the Scramjet dual-pulse engine you requested funding for, are also Mr. Wu's achievements. You'll understand after you've worked with Mr. Wu for a while. Lin Zhe laughed heartily, not in jest but with pride. It's only natural for those unfamiliar with Mr. Wu Tong's abilities to be as astonished as he is upon hearing his remarkable achievements for the first time. Therefore, Lin's Hemming kindly offered Zhu Dingjun another update on Wu Tong's achievements. It could be said that Wu Tong had taught her that any breakthrough was no problem for him. Great, great. It's truly a stroke of luck that China has such a talent. I've been so ignorant and underestimating Mr. Wu, having paid so little attention to the outside world. Zhu Dingjun paused before regaining her voice. She looked at Wu Tong again, her eyes filled with shock and respect. She no longer treated Wu Tong as a junior, he was a cross-century talent who had already surpassed them in scientific research. Mr. Wu, please arrange everything from now on. If I stutter, I'm not Zhu Dingjun. She had always known that great reputations were not undeserved, but Wu Tong had surpassed all her expectations. However, as a patriot, she was deeply grateful that they had Wu Tong. Their future held endless possibilities. As a veteran in scientific research, Zhu Dingjun, after being shocked, immediately understood his role. In scientific research, talent, not age or seniority, has always been the key. Wu Tong possessed such remarkable talent, and she willingly offered to assist him. Thank you, President Zhu, for your unwavering cooperation. I'm sure there will be trouble in the coming days. Wu Tong smiled, shaking Zhu Dingjun's hands and offering a heartfelt compliment. Let me be honest, my expertise lies in technical research. I'll need your full attention and overall coordination. Preparing for project supervision is never easy. The operation of a major project, from top to bottom, demands meticulous attention. There will likely be many areas for President Zhu to tend to, and she needs to clearly outline them with him in advance. She has to simultaneously launch 2 missile development projects, splitting her energy between them. She can't oversee every detail, so a dedicated and experienced academic leader is needed. That's why they've focused their attention on Zhu Dingjun. As a mature and capable leader, he was trustworthy enough to be entrusted with the heavy responsibility of completing this project. No problem, I guarantee we'll do whatever Mr. Wu tells us to do, Zhu Dingjun promised without hesitation, and his words were his. Wu Tong mastered all the technical aspects, and she was only responsible for the preparation and implementation. She also had the opportunity to learn new technologies and design concepts, and improve her professional skills. Where else can you find such a good job? Chapter 340, Familiarity. This time, Zhu Dingjun truly believed what Lin Hemming had said when he invited her, that the project could be implemented within 3 months, that it wasn't just empty talk, it was a very real possibility. Wu Tong had already made all the hardest hurdles go by, and all she had to do was follow the procedures and deploy them step by step. This was the easiest part, something any project leader with even a modicum of experience could handle. Wu Tong's entrusting her with the project was a sign of confidence in her abilities, and she had to deliver to perfection to live up to that trust. I'll go back and make preparations, and await good news from you, Mr. Wu. Zhu Dingjun rushed back to the Second Academy of Aeronautics and Astronautics as quickly as she had arrived. Before embarking on any new project, she needed to thoroughly review the DF-16 development tasks at hand. Judging from Wu Tong's progress, the DF-16 project doesn't need to be suspended. However, she won't be able to oversee the project entirely for the foreseeable future. She needs to allocate some highly reliable team members to the development of the DF-17. She'll keep some personnel on the DF-16 for a while, allowing for gradual progress. Once she's fully mastered the DF-17's technology, she can contribute back to the DF-16 project, improving the overall project quality, a win-win situation. After Zhu Dingjun negotiated, Wu Tong immediately called Hua Yangxing's CEO, Hua, to entrust her with the PL-17 project. As a longtime acquaintance, Wu Tong had complete confidence in Hua Yangxing's capabilities. Hua Yangxing had just completed improvements to the PL-14, leveraging the PL-15's diffraction technology to transform it into heavy strike, medium-range air-to-air missile. It aims to fill the gap between long-range and air-to-air missiles, and now that it's in service, she's just handed it over. While Wu Tong couldn't quite match Wu Tong's ability to create a superior air-to-air missile from scratch in a matter of months, her years of experience certainly weren't in vain. Following Wu Tong on the PL-15 project from start to finish, with Wu Tong providing detailed explanations whenever she asked, she thoroughly mastered the PL-15 technology. With Wu Tong's authorization, she absorbed its essence and applied it to the PL-14. Finally, after another year, she finally completed the project, finally worthy of Wu Tong's meticulous guidance. We're so in sync, President Wu. I was just about to call you to share the good news when you called. Is this considered a case of telepathy? With the project's completion, and the significant advancements in both medium and long-range domestic air-to-air missiles, Hua Yangsing was in high spirits, even joking. Congratulations, President Hu. The PL-14 has been successfully launched. Wu Tong had sufficient authority, and Hua Yangsing had communicated with him before. Therefore, upon hearing the good news, Wu Tong immediately realized that it was Hua Yangsing who had been responsible for the launch of the PL-14. As expected, Hua Yangsing immediately confirmed, "It's indeed Mr. Wu. Your reflexes are top-notch, just hearing you praise me here makes me feel embarrassed." Wu Tong smiled and playfully exchanged pleasantries with Hua Yangsing, lightening the mood and building rapport. She also turned the conversation to her reason for coming. "Mr. Hua, I'm here to trouble you." "What do you mean by trouble?" "Wu Tong, how can I help you?" "Just tell me." Hua Yangsing had assumed Wu Tong was looking for her help with something in Zizhao. It was rare for Wu Tong to speak up. Honestly, as long as it didn't violate discipline or laws, she was more than happy to help him. She was just wondering how to thank him for his expertise and the immense help he provided to their project, achieving forecasts she hadn't dared to imagine. It was rare for Wu Tong to need him. She quickly seized the opportunity. There were so many people wanting to help Wu Tong. The fact that Wu Tong contacted her was a testament to his absolute trust in her. "I have some influence in Zizhao. Even if things are difficult, I can still find a way to get it done for you. If it really doesn't work, Zizhao still has Lu Xiao. If she can't do it, she can just ask for help. There's strength in numbers." "Boss Hu, it's not the trouble you think." Wu Tong smiled happily with warmth in her heart. These seniors who cared about her didn't even ask her what the problem was, and they agreed to take care of her. Such care really touched her and made her feel warm. So, Wu Tong didn't hold back, stating bluntly, "The PL-17 ultra-long-range air-to-air missile has a speed of Mach 6 and a range of 800 kilometers. President Hu, I'd like to trouble you to take on the important task of preparing and deploying it. Your newly free time might be interrupted by me. Are you willing to oversee the PL-17 project?" While there was more than one research institute working on air-to-air missiles domestically, Wu Tong had a prior collaboration with President Hu. She trusted his abilities and character, and he was her primary choice. Only if he objected would Wu Tong consider a second choice. Call Wu Tong partial or intolerant, she preferred working with someone she knew rather than with someone new. President Hua's abilities were undeniable, so why would she choose someone far away? What? Hua Yangsing seemed to think that she had misheard, but she stopped talking immediately. Who was talking to her? It was Mr. Wu Tong, who had created the PL-15, a miniaturized air-to-air missile with a speed of Mach 6 and a range of 300 kilometers under her nose. She could still remember his glorious achievements. She had to take every word Wu Tong said seriously. PL-17? A range of 800 kilometers and a speed of Mach 6, Hua Yangsing repeated the most important words she had heard word by word. These parameters dazzled her and she could hardly believe it. If someone else had told her this, she would have told someone to go to bed and cover herself with more quilts. She would have dreamed of everything. However, the person who told her this parameter was Wu Tong, which made her heart beat wildly. She was shocked by the astonishing parameters that could be called soaring. "Yes, I will tell you everything I want to say. The J-35 and H-20 have successfully completed their test flights and entered service. It just so happens that I haven't decided on other topics yet after the new year, so I've been doing research on missiles to add another powerful weapon to our Kunpeng and Kanglong. The research and development and preparation plan for the PL-17 has been developed, and I have also deduced the material research and development. Experimental verification is already underway, and the technology is expected to be completed within 2 weeks. Now I need you to prepare and oversee the project progress. Is it convenient for you?" "It's convenient. How can it not be convenient?" Even though he knew that Wu Tong couldn't see, Hua Yangsing still nodded vigorously. She was at home at the moment, and her husband, a university professor, saw his wife nodding vigorously with ecstasy on her face. He couldn't help but push his glasses, thinking hesitantly, should he take his wife for another physical examination? Although, his husband had the examination 2 days ago after the project ended, what if there was something wrong in the past 2 days? Chapter 341 Generous. Then I'll leave it to you. I'm applying for the project now. The project team will need you to provide more supervision in the future. I may not be able to follow up the entire process and can only provide technical support. Wu Tong also explained the same thing to Hua Yangsing. Just because they had some friendship, he didn't ignore these details. After receiving a positive response from Hua Yangsing, Wu Tong submitted the project application. 2 project applications with clear notes on the research objectives and prediction parameters, as well as material parameters and preliminary research progress, were presented directly to Chu Hengyan. Wu Tong's project applications were handled specially, and they were submitted to him in one step, reducing the process and preventing the possibility of confidentiality leaks. Chu Hengyan, who had already prepared, was still shocked by the data, but he didn't panic. He calmly made calls one after another to summon the designated candidates. In the confidential meeting room, Chu Hengyan, Lin Hemming, and the 3 parties of the Navy, Army, and Air Force were all in place. We're all old acquaintances, so I won't waste any more time. Let's get straight to the point. The DF-17, a precision-guided missile with a range starting at 3,000 kilometers, a Mach 10 hypersonic speed, a Jin-style trajectory, terminal trajectory change, and precision strike capabilities within a 50-meter range, solid fuel propulsion, capable of penetrating the Aegis system, a land-based ballistic missile. Preliminary research is complete, and we can immediately enter the testing, preparation, and production process. The PL-17, an air-to-air missile with an expected range of 800 kilometers and precision strike capabilities at Mach 6, has been rehearsed and is ready to immediately enter the testing, preparation, and production process. Just imagine the effort required for these figures. Chu Hengyan spoke directly. This was a rare opportunity to control these veterans, and he felt a rare sense of satisfaction. He didn't want to take advantage of this opportunity to show off his power. These troublesome guys constantly begged him for research results, progress, and funding, and they were very quick to get away with it. It was only in the past 2 years, when they smelled something fishy, that they were willing to invest heavily. Boss Wu has come up with new achievements again? We absolutely support him. It's so hard for Boss Wu to finally see Army. Commander Chu, just name the number. Even if we have to shoulder the entire burden, we'll grit our teeth and tighten our belts to give our full support. Pretending to be foolish is a wise move, he said, referring to the Lupao representative, Leader Wu. He had long hoped that Wu Tong would be free to bring about new changes for them. Now, upon hearing the data Chu Hengyan had reported, such a leap forward, he smelled a familiar formula, belonging only to the extraordinary Boss Wu. He immediately reacted and patted his chest to guarantee that he, Old Wu, and their Lupao would not be lagging behind. Just thinking about the data Chu Hengyan had just reported filled him with joy. Starting at 3,000 kilometers, he could say the range could cover the entire island chain, safeguarding territorial integrity and security. The deterrent effect would be absolutely incredible. Just thinking about it made him fantasize and excited. He eagerly anticipated that this would become a reality, allowing them to travel the world fearlessly, facing the international community with unwavering self-reliance and dignity. Therefore, he immediately provided support to build this massive weapon. Once they did, they would truly possess a powerful weapon to protect the nation. As long as General Wu completed this massive weapon, he would apply for Chapter 81 to thank him for his contribution. From now on, as long as General Wu didn't retaliate illegally, their land artillery would be his strongest backing. Brother Wu, you're the only one anxious, but we're anxious too. This is what we need. Commander Chu, is General Wu's research on a shipborne version? It's perfect for installation on our Ninglio as a ship-suppressing anti-ship missile. Li Huaimin, the naval officer in charge, was quick to react and responded immediately. Perhaps they could get something for themselves? General Wu was currently working on the Kanglong J-35. Considering the successful test flight of the Kanglong J-35A, the vertical takeoff and landing version achieved exceptional performance. With a full tank and ammunition load, its combat radius reached 3,000 kilometers, truly showcasing the absolute advantages of the stealth fighter. They were practically overjoyed. The bosses above, however, sighed one after another, saying that this was one of their fastest and most valuable investments in recent years. If they could get anti-ship missiles to be installed on the naval vessels, a wonderful life, from then on, they would be able to move towards the deep blue, and it would be no problem to show off their fangs and claws. Therefore, Li Huaimin reacted quickly and immediately dug into their bowls. The recent success of the Kanglong J-35 has made the naval vessels mighty and powerful, and their voices are louder and tougher than before. We certainly can't miss it. Air-to-air missiles, needless to say, are equipped by us. Thank you, Mr. Wu, for your care. DF-17, we should also contribute a little more. Did the PL-15 and land artillery also lend a strength? The Kongfang, who didn't release the eagle until they saw the rabbit, also expressed their position without hesitation. Anyway, they must not miss the Kongfang. Look at the arrogance on the Navy ship's face. They've only received General Wu's help. 3 fighter jets soar across the blue sky, carrying the PL-15 beyond visual range air-to-air missile, striking with precision and breaking speeds in record time. Are they proud? Not at all. In fact, they're humble. General Wu, they come from the aerospace industry. They're his most important concern. No other ordinary person should even think of competing with him. Even if the DF-17 is a land-based missile, they're determined to show their support for the project General Wu wants to pursue. In the future, they're even looking forward to the aerospace fighters and even aerospace vehicles that General Wu had mentioned. Everyone should have dreams. Who knows, perhaps even these dreams will come true in his lifetime. Given General Wu's research and development speed, their hearts are racing. Haha, each one is more discerning than the other, they can smell the benefits. Look how generous they are. Seeing how everyone was so enthusiastic, as if afraid he'd drag someone down, Chu Hengin was enjoying the privilege of having the Navy, Army, and Air Force all agreeing on funding for the first time. He really should have recorded them earlier so they could see how they'd complained bitterly when they contributed even a little bit of funding, acting like stingy people who'd kill them. They deserved it, every single one of them. However, these spontaneous petitions didn't require him to painstakingly describe them. When he asked them to contribute funds, most of them had sullen faces, as if they were being forced into it. This saved him a lot of trouble. Then it's settled. Naval vessels and land artillery, you're the focus. You'll each take 30% of the funding, and Kongong will take 20%. I'll allocate part of that to the initial startup funds for the PL-17 project. General Lin and I will each take 10% as a token of appreciation. Chu Hengin was secretly pleased and immediately decided on the matching funding ratio. Chapter 342 Priority. With funding allocated, the DF-17 hypersonic missile and PL-17 air-to-air missile project applications were approved. Swift action was taken, with R&D funds allocated to a dedicated account within 3 days. The 5 funding parties maintained their usual pace. The sooner the funds were in place, the sooner Wu Tong could perform miracles. They were all witnesses of Wu Tong's abilities and the beneficiaries of his success, and they were unwaveringly confident. Wu Tong's projects were now prioritized for support. With the approval of the project leaders from both sides, Wu Tong immediately began material verification testing, with all funds initially allocated from the Institute's operating funds. While the limited free funds on her books might not be enough for major initiatives, and even a drop in the bucket for 2 major projects, they were sufficient to provide initial material support. The Institute was staffed by Wu Tong's familiar staff, a team that had worked together over time and was increasingly clear about its role. With Wu Tong's command, the entire institute began its busy yet orderly operations. Derived materials with detailed models and fabrication processes were like replicating a specific process by following a blueprint. Each precise step was controlled by only a few key individuals, and Wu Tong, the developer, possessed the most detailed knowledge. The other researchers were assigned specific tasks, minimizing the risk of leaking key information. The 2-week deadline was actually Wu Tong's maximum deadline. With 2 parallel operations, preliminary verification tests were completed within the first week. Wu Tong then spent another 3 or 4 days repeating the fabrication work. All in all, she completed all material preparation and verification within 10 days. As Wu Tong had hoped, the new missile material was extremely heat-resistant, capable of withstanding temperatures of 3000 degrees Celsius with virtually no burning, and maintaining extremely stable mechanical properties at 3500 degrees Celsius. The remaining materials also met Wu Tong's expectations, maintaining her signature consistency and innovation. With the materials finalized, the overall fabrication plan could be implemented. Funding was allocated, and production began in earnest. She then prepared to head to the Second Academy of Aeronautics and Astronautics to work on engine development. Zhu Dingjun had assumed that 2 weeks was Wu Tong's minimum deadline for a single material. Materials research and development isn't always smooth, and it's not uncommon for others to take 3 to 5 years. However, in just 10 days, Wu Tong completed the R&D and preparation of several materials, perfected the process, and connected with the factory to start production. This speed truly astonished Zhu Dingjun, witnessing Wu Tong's efficiency for the first time, yet at the same time, she was also overjoyed. Who in research wouldn't want to collaborate with such a top-tier expert who could produce results so efficiently? Wu Tong's tangible achievements proved her undeniable status as a true materials expert. Mr. Wu, I'll start the entire process right away. I hope you can personally oversee the project. I've arranged office accommodation, and the lab and team are all set up. I just need your guidance, Zhu Dingjun invited eagerly. She was eager to take on such a challenging project and wanted Wu Tong to lead it. She was the backbone of the entire project. She was glad she hadn't underestimated Wu Tong's abilities. Upon returning from Wu Tong's visit, she immediately began preparing for the official launch of the project, arranging all the tasks at hand, including personnel and environmental coordination. Otherwise, she would be completely overwhelmed. Okay, President Zhu, I'll arrange time to go there in the next 2 days, Wu Tong agreed with a smile. She didn't leave immediately because she needed to get her current affairs in order. She was constantly juggling key projects, and while confidentiality meant the university wasn't fully aware of the situation, the message conveyed to the president was clear. Therefore, Wu Tong's focus remained on research, with no regular teaching required. This made it relatively easy for Wu Tong to come and go, simply informing Dean Pan. The university supported Wu Tong's current focus on research. After all, Wu Tong had achieved one major achievement after another, earning the university immense honor with one award after another. With such significant benefits, forcing Wu Tong to complete regular teaching duties was simply a waste of time. Because her superiors and teachers are all reasonable people, Wu Tong feels that the atmosphere at Peking University is very good, so she is more willing to produce results and let Peking University share the glory with her. People are all made of flesh and blood. If you respect me 1 foot, I will return you 10 feet. Only by exchanging one heart for another can the relationship last. Wu Tong also mentioned to her teachers that she is not responsible for ordinary teaching tasks now, and the annual salary can be recovered by the school. Pan Wenhui explained this point very clearly to Wu Tong. As long as Wu Tong is at Peking University, the intangible influence and scientific research results created by Wu Tong cannot be exchanged for that little annual salary. The school is afraid that Wu Tong will not accept it, so they want Wu Tong to sever ties with the school, instead of thinking that Wu Tong has received an annual salary but has done nothing. At the Research Institute, Wu Tong has been given an annual salary. While her contributions can't be publicly announced, they don't intend to underpay her. Adding it all up, Wu Tong's annual income is quite generous. Her travel, food, clothing, and housing are all covered by the government. Besides supporting her family, she has little extra expenses. The money in her account is now just a number to her. Wu Tong has no major teaching responsibilities to worry about. Her only concern is the upcoming graduate student interviews. It's already late March, approaching early April, and the re-examinations have already begun. The results are almost clear, though not yet publicly announced. With the promising candidates, and mutual interest, interviews can begin. Despite her responsibilities, Wu Tong is fortunate to have strong chief engineers on both sides. With her focus solely on R&D, she doesn't have to constantly be on both project teams. This allows her to supervise 2 students if she finds the right candidate. In her absence, Wu Tong plans to delegate her daily teaching duties to Senior Su and Professor Li, or to conduct remote teaching. Graduate students don't need her constant oversight, and this gives both sides freedom. If the students' qualifications are good, her mathematics and physics office will have additional staff. And they can also be selected as team candidates in the future. Whether or not they can join the team depends on the performance of her future students. A year ago, she herself was still a student. Now, a year later, she has to sit at the interview desk to interview her students. Wu Tong feels that this reversal of relationships is quite novel. Sorry, dear ones, my nephew at home suddenly has a high fever, repeated fever, and some fright. I am taking the child to the hospital. There will be no update tonight. Children are more likely to be infected during the changing seasons. Recently, mycoplasma pneumonia has attacked. Parents with little animals at home should pay more attention. I wish all the children can be full of energy. Not getting sick is the best thing. Chapter 343 Competition. Inside the interview room at Peking University's School of Mathematics, Pan Wenho and Zhou Wenping smiled at the curious look in Wu Tong's eyes. As people who had experienced this before, they'd felt the same way. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, the two youngest of them were already turning gray. The others present must have felt the same way. Professor Wu Tong. As Wu Tong entered the interview room, the mathematics professors who were recruiting graduate students greeted him warmly. Hello, Professor Yan, Professor Chang, Professor Li. Wu Tong humbly greeted each one. Finally, at the beckoning of Pan Wenho and Zhou Wenping, taking a seat in the center, practically the center. Today's main task was to select students for Wu Tong. As for the others, they were there partly to watch the fun and find a couple of good students for themselves. Wu Tong would choose 2 or 3. Because of Wu Tong's influence, so many outstanding students have flocked to Peking University. Naturally, they want to seize the opportunity to retain more promising students and nurture them well, as they will be the foundation of the university in the future. They don't even consider that their selections are what Wu Tong left out. The qualifications of the students they selected in previous years may not even compare to the top students who came here for Wu Tong's fame. They're leveraging Wu Tong's influence to select the best students, so why complain? This is called multi-use of resources. They're also giving these outstanding students, attracted by his reputation, a chance to attend Peking University. After all, attending Peking University means being in the same school as Wu Tong, and perhaps even taking his classes in the future. Isn't this a roundabout way to save the country and gain his guidance? Doesn't it feel quite strange? Pan Wenho asked with a smile. You have a keen eye, Wu Tong praised. After seeing so much, she wasn't worried, but the feeling of being a role model for others was quite mysterious. She felt she wanted to be a dedicated mentor, like the compassionate teachers she'd met. Haha, it wasn't that they were all discerning, but rather that they'd all been there before. Wu Tong's experiences were similar to their own, and they could relate. Don't worry, just follow your own judgment. You'll choose the student who best suits you. Zhou Wenping, sitting to Wu Tong's right, couldn't help but smile as he shared his experience with Wu Tong. At Wu Tong's level, one could freely follow one's heart. They were able to see Wu Tong's slightly immature expression, perhaps because Wu Tong had always been humble, never possessing the rebelliousness or arrogance of a young genius. How could one not cherish such a child? Outside, by this moment, the interview candidates were mostly in place, and the atmosphere was tense yet enthusiastic. Before they received the interview notices, Peking University announced that Washington would be recruiting 2 or 3 graduate students this year. This news was like pouring boiling water into hot oil. It instantly boiled over, exploded, and splattered. All math students were eager to apply for interviews at Peking University. This was especially true for the renowned prodigies within the university community. Unless they already had a mentor, they all flocked there. Some even had already secured a mentor, but their mentors, with their appreciation for their talent, had recommended them here solely to compete for Wu Tong's spot. In previous years, vying for a spot as a student of an internationally renowned professor would have required countless hurdles and countless efforts, and it wasn't certain they could even reach the level of a world-class scholar. But now, with such exceptionally talented scholars in their own country, how could they not be vying for a spot? The reason for this scramble can be best summed up in 4 words: fame and fortune. Excellent mentors play a crucial role in a student's growth and development. Good mentors not only impart subject knowledge and skills but also guide their thinking and career development, even providing crucial academic guidance and support. Therefore, choosing a good advisor is crucial to a student's future development, and this impact is long-lasting. Being a student of a top international scholar is a prestigious title, a source of envy. To become a top academic figure, One must possess a highly competent advisor. A highly competent advisor can effectively guide students, otherwise, students will be at a loss as to how to approach problems, ultimately leading to misleading students. A good advisor not only provides students with learning strategies and methods, but also offers unlimited opportunities for advancement. A good advisor is able to grasp academic trends in their field and understand innovative practices in practical fields. They can discuss past and present, drawing on a wide range of knowledge. In short, they possess a fusion of history and present, spanning Eastern and Western cultures, and mastering both theory and practice. Such an advisor is truly rare, and Wu Tong embodies that rare and even more difficult to find. Top advisors possess extraordinary connections and influence. This topic may seem a bit heavy, but graduates with master's and doctoral degrees often have easy access to top academic connections and access to top journals. Inevitably, some advisors, for example, have connections with editors of journals, making it easier for students to submit papers. Even without prior inquiries from their advisors, papers signed by their advisors, a top-tier advisor, will undoubtedly receive the attention of major journals. This significantly increases the likelihood of acceptance. It's even said that papers mentored by top-tier advisors have virtually no chance of rejection. If anyone were to enumerate the benefits of being a Wu Tong student, those present could easily list the numerous advantages of being one. However, the competition for admission is incredibly high. Consequently, many students who have a good idea of their abilities and have a plan for their future choose to avoid this hellish cycle and instead apply to other renowned professors at Kyoto University, remaining at Kyoto University. Since they attend the same university as Wu Shen, perhaps they too could benefit from his advice. At this moment, they were all contenders, but only a handful actually received interview invitations. After all, not just any student could get into Kyoto University. Those selected were generally those who had performed well in the initial and final rounds of the postgraduate entrance exam, placing at the top, and who also had a strong desire to study at Kyoto University. Chapter 344 Big News. Wu Tong, are you ready? It's almost time to begin. After a few small talks and reminiscing about the past, Pan Wenho checked the time and confirmed with Wu Tong with a smile. Go ahead, Dean Pan, I'm available anytime. Wu Tong's eyes curved with a smile at her teacher's care. Although it was her first time interviewing a student, she still had her own judgment about which students to choose, just as her teacher had earnestly instructed. The first one to come in is from our School of Mathematics, and she also topped both the national and Beijing graduate entrance exams. Su Dongai, Zhou Wenping whispered to Wu Tong, recounting the first interviewee's resume. A Peking University student, standing out with such strength, had come out on top. As the leaders of Peking University's School of Mathematics, Pan Wenho and Zhou Wenping were naturally delighted. You should remember Xiao Su, although 3 years had passed, Xiao Su was no stranger. Su Dongai, Wu Tong repeated the name, a name she vaguely remembered, and her memory was triggered, awakening a fleeting memory. The perfect gold medalist in both the 2007 and 2008 International Olympiads, is that him? Yes, Wu Tong. Do you still remember Xiao Su? Zhou Wenping nodded. This was the highly anticipated young talent they had recruited the year before Wu Tong arrived. He had won 2 perfect gold medals in the International Olympiads, making him a household name and a future leader for the university. They had assumed that an outstanding student, someone as exceptional as Su Dongai, was the pinnacle of excellence. They had never imagined that the following year, they would meet Wu Tong. From the CMO to the EMO, from the Zhou conjecture to the Goldbach conjecture and the Navier-Stokes equations, he had consistently broken through their supposed ceiling of excellence, demonstrating to them the meaning of limitless talent, a true genius that made the world marvel at the rebirth of Gauss-Euler. It's undeniable that during Wu Tong's rise, the entire university was centered around him, but they also didn't overlook other outstanding students. Wu Tong's rise was so rapid and swift that he barely utilized any of Peking University's resources. Instead, he brought immense influence and became a major boost to the School of Mathematics at Peking University. Therefore, they actually felt quite guilty towards Wu Tong. While enjoying the honors Wu Tong brought them, they actually provided very little support. Of course, it was during our EMO training camp, and we heard the teachers repeatedly use him as an example to inspire us. Just getting into the EMO was already difficult, and winning a gold medal was even more difficult. To have won a perfect score, and 2 times, speaks volumes about Su Dongai's excellence. We had long admired him. Su Donggai had entered Peking University a year before her, so she could be considered her senior. However, she wasn't conventionally inclined. After entering, she had been constantly engaged in research and graduated with special approval, so she hadn't previously interacted much with the other outstanding talents at the school. Therefore, Wu Tong was meeting this renowned academic genius, the magical being they had teased as Su Mangfan, for the first time. Wu Tong was quite surprised that the first student who came in for the interview was such a heavyweight. Is the student who applied for my graduate program so heavyweight? Wu Tong was somewhat flattered by the students' expectations. She had thought that as a novice who was teaching students for the first time, the students who were able to apply would be excellent, but not of such high quality. Haha. Wu Tong, you underestimate your influence, Pan Wenho laughed. If you go out and ask any student in our college right now, if possible, the first choice of tutor will definitely be you. Wu Tong's influence, especially the influence among young students, it can be said to be unparalleled, the kind that is revered as a god. However, he did not find it funny that Wu Tong did not have a clear understanding of himself, but rather felt distressed. Wu Tong had a pure heart and devoted herself to research. Before graduation, she took on one project after another, and after graduation, she was still working on one project after another. She even participated in major confidential projects several times and had no time to pay attention to the outside world. She did not have a full understanding of her own influence. It was not her fault that she was uninformed, but that there was no time for her to pay attention to gossip. Yes, Wu Tong, you have to believe in your influence, believe in the appeal of the series of titles such as the prover of the Goldbach conjecture, the prover of the NS equation, the winner of the Ramanujan Medal and the Wolf Prize in Mathematics, and the winner of the National Natural Science First Prize. Zhou Wenping nodded to Wu Tong in confirmation with a smile. Believe them, you are so outstanding. The other professors sitting with him all looked at Wu Tong with smiles and encouragement. Although they didn't have much contact with the glory of their school of mathematics, they could see clearly from such a small contact that this was a good student and scholar who respected teachers, was simple and humble, and would definitely be a good mentor in the future. With Wu Tong's current influence and resources, even if a little bit slipped through her fingers, it would be enough for the students under her name to use. If there were students who could receive Wu Tong's dedicated training, then the resources and progress would surely soar like a rocket. If they didn't still think about face, they all wanted to be Wu Tong's students, or if their families had suitable and motivated children, they would put aside their face and ask Wu Tong for guidance. Unfortunately, some of them either had children who were already working for years, or grandchildren who were too young to be the first to benefit. This frustration was channeled onto the students they taught, hoping that the Academy's outstanding students would seize this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and become Wu Tong's disciples. Su Donggai was their primary target, the Academy's ace player. The reception staff outside announced, and moments later, a neatly dressed young man, with the towering stature of a northerner, strode in from outside the classroom, exuding the youthful vigor and anticipation typical of youth. He stood in the center of the classroom, bowing gently and greeting to the teachers in front of him. Professor Wu, Dean Pan, Professor Zhou. Hello, professors. I'm Su Donggai, a student from the School of Mathematics at Peking University, class of 2008. I'm a student in the Department of Mathematics. I've won the Hulua Jing Gold Medal, the Chern Gold Medal, the Zhou Weileng Gold Medal, the Linjiakao Gold Medal, the Subaoki Gold Medal in the Chu Chengtong Mathematical Competition, the Chu Chengtong Gold Medal for all-around excellence, and first prize in the Mathematics League. Compared to your achievements, my grades are quite good among ordinary students, but compared to you, they're nothing but a firefly. I love mathematics and hope to further improve and develop my knowledge of partial differential equations and geometric analysis. Therefore, I hope to have the honor of becoming Professor Wu's student and receive your guidance, so that I can reach higher levels in mathematics. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 345, Opening the Mountain. Winner of the 5 gold medals and the individual all-around award at the Chu competition, your academic achievements are truly astonishing, Wu Tong praised heartily. That's something I've never achieved. It was a shame to admit that after entering university, She stumbled into the materials field, stumbled into aerospace, and touched upon classified projects. Throughout her university years, her research had strayed from the norm, truly not a good example for a student. That's because you didn't participate in that competition last year. Su Dongyi blushed at Wu Tong's praise. Compared to Professor Wu's brilliance, it was only because Professor Wu graduated early in April and didn't participate in the competition in June that he was able to win the all-around award and the other 5 gold medals. If Professor Wu had participated, it would have been a daunting blow, and they would have only had a chance to compete for second place. Ha ha ha. Xiao Su's words are incredibly honest. The professor chuckled heartily, wondering if they should regret that Wu Tong graduated too quickly and hadn't been able to collect all the awards from the university competition. However, compared to Wu Tong's achievements, the conjectures she'd conquered, the university competition seemed like a bit of a game to her. If Wu Tong participates, it'll be a bit like bullying. Li Yisheng smiled brightly. It wasn't that he was being unkind, it was simply that Wu Tong's achievements had astonished everyone, both domestically and internationally. From the moment Wu Tong enrolled, no one had treated her as an ordinary student. And her performance had completely surpassed their expectations. Even after proving the Goldbach conjecture, they were still keeping her? That was humiliating. Who else could the university find to mentor the prover of the conjecture? If Wu Tong wasn't allowed to graduate, it would be Peking University that would be embarrassed. Who could be Wu Tong's advisor? Therefore, the university unanimously agreed to make an exception and allow Wu Tong to graduate early. Wu Tong deserved any degree. Wu Tong quizzed Su Dongyi on several basic and advanced questions. On the basics, Su Dongyi demonstrated his solid foundation as a winner of the Chukong 5 gold medals and the individual all-around award. On the advanced questions, while Su Dongyi's answers weren't perfect, his direction and potential for extension were spot on. With a few simple pointers from Wu Tong, he immediately mastered the problem. Truly, in front of everyone, he demonstrated his exceptional mathematical acumen, associative thinking, and comprehension skills. Why did you choose to study mathematics? After asking the questions, Wu Tong followed up with some follow-up questions within the time limit. My parents both teach architecture. Maybe it's the influence of my family that has made me interested in learning since I was a child. Later, I came across the Bukhualukang Mathematics School by chance. The content inside made me fall in love with mathematics. I participated in the Olympiad training course in junior high and high school. The more I got into it, the more I wanted to find out more and go further on this path. Su Dongyi smiled a little naively, but his grades were not ambiguous at all. So Wu Tong had no suspense and asked directly and clearly, I am very satisfied with your personal performance. You have really proved your excellence. Thank you for your trust. Are you sure you want to apply for my graduate program? Even if I have a research project, I may not be able to take care of you. In addition, this is my first time to teach students and I may not have much experience in teaching students. I am lacking in this aspect. I believe that with your resume, any tutor present would be willing to serve as your tutor and recruit you as a graduate student. She sensed Su Dongyi's sincerity and excellence. The choice is a two-way process. She also had to inform the students of her shortcomings. Of course, I have a fairly independent learning ability. If you assign me a study task, I will definitely cooperate fully. If you don't have time, I will first list the problems and find ways to solve them. If I really can't solve them, I will gather them together and ask you for advice. Su Dongyi nodded in confirmation without hesitation. He knew that the several teachers present would be willing to accept him as a student. Even before, he had never dared to imagine that Wu Tong would teach ordinary graduate students. He thought that they, who were just about to graduate from undergraduate school, would have no chance to participate in Wu Tong's recruitment interview. Unexpectedly, Wu Tong's recruitment started from the most basic level, and they all had opportunities and were encouraged to participate. With such a high-level perspective, he must have wanted to become Professor Wu's student to receive his guidance. Although Professor Wu was younger than him after becoming his mentor, age was never a problem for a teacher who has achieved success. Professor Wu truly made people realize that there is always someone better than you. While she was still somewhat ecstatic about winning 2 perfect gold medals at the EMO, Professor Wu, also aged 17 or 18, was already conquering the world, proving the Zhou conjecture, the twin prime conjecture, the Polignac conjecture, infinite group theory, the prover of the Goldbach conjecture, the prover of the NS equation. Each brilliant achievement immediately sobered him up, calmed him down, and with a more humble and open mind, he devoted himself to study. This was the foundation that enabled him to win the Chusaki Wu Grand Prize and the Individual All-Around Award last summer, a solid foundation praised by Wu Tong. The person he should be most grateful to and admire the most was Professor Wu, and so he was absolutely determined to become his student. Okay, thank you for your trust. Go back and wait for my notification. If nothing unexpected happens, we'll have a pleasant time together as future students. Wu Tong smiled and announced his decision on the spot, leaving no room for suspense. Once it was confirmed, there was no need to hide it. This had always been Wu Tong's simple approach. If I'm truly busy with my research and can't be there in the future, I'll ask Professor Li and Professor Su to help out and give me some guidance. Although it was her first time teaching, Wu Tong didn't intend to use this as an excuse for being perfunctory. Being unfamiliar and being perfunctory were two different things. She still had to be attentive and careful with her students. The school was willing to entrust such a promising young talent to her, and she felt a sense of responsibility towards both the school and the student. Thank you, Professor. I'll go back and prepare. Upon receiving Wu Tong's immediate approval, Su Donggai couldn't help but smile widely in surprise. He hadn't expected Professor Wu to be so forthcoming, informing him of the results immediately without a second thought. Such a character undoubtedly solidified his decision. There were no surprises, he wouldn't allow himself the possibility of them. Haha. Congratulations, Wu Tong, on having your first disciple. Pan Wenho and the others smiled and celebrated. The first student was from their own Peking University. As expected, their Peking University students had achieved outstanding results. The School of Mathematics was about to have another rising star. They had another pillar of support. As long as you look at Wu Tong's cautious and clear attitude, no one will doubt that she is not a good mentor. Chapter 346 Perseverance. I have to thank all the teachers for their kindness. Wu Tong smiled in return. If it weren't for the teachers' concern for her, such a talented young talent, with her consistent performance since entering the school, as she had in the Olympiad, would have had more than one instructor taking notice. They would have even developed a strong rapport before their junior and senior years. With Su Donggai's grades and abilities, once she had completed the basics, she could have potentially been involved in projects in her junior and senior years. However, now, thanks to her sudden emergence, these teachers have shown favoritism, finally placing such a promising talent before her, allowing her to meet such a talented student. So, before sharing in the joy of having her first student, Wu Tong sincerely thanked the teachers. Wu Tong's influence is truly strong. The other professors were heartened by Wu Tong's attitude. Wu Tong's rise, directly under the wing of the higher-ups, freed her from competing for limited resources. They were naturally pleased. A simple effort, everyone's support. Besides, it wasn't as if they were so selfless as to give the promising talent solely to Wu Tong. When Su Donggai arrived, he was definitely under observation for the first year. By the time they tried to contact him in the second year, Wu Tong had already risen to prominence. In the third year, Wu Tong was eligible to recruit students, and Su Donggai, inspired by Wu Tong's outstanding example, was able to graduate a year early. With Wu Tong, he was his first choice, and he considered no other. Therefore, other professors who had originally been interested in him simply did him a favor. Maintaining a relationship with a top scholar like Wu Tong only benefits, not harms, leading to the harmonious situation we have today. Su Donggai, surprised, withdrew for the moment. He hadn't expected it to go so smoothly, to receive Wu Tong's approval and become a student of a world-leading scholar and future Fields Medal winner. While he was confident in himself, he knew there were countless outstanding students nationwide, and his exceptional talent didn't necessarily mean he had to be chosen as a student. Sometimes, personal connection is also a factor in student selection. Even the most outstanding advisor and student can have no mutual connection if their research interests don't align. Fortunately, his graduate program was exactly where Wu Tong excelled, and indeed, very well. He had even demonstrated the top-tier NS equations in this field, all verified by his professor. The second candidate came in, a top student from Jinling University. His performance and resume were equally impressive, not much behind Su Donggai. After all, he was only just about to graduate from university, and unless he was a miracle worker like Wu Tong, few students at his age could achieve such remarkable results. Wu Tong was a reality-shattering figure. He couldn't be compared to ordinary people. The third candidate, like the second, performed exceptionally well, speaking with grace and substance. While a bit superficial compared to others, he was still quite good for someone his age. Wu Tong communicated with several successive candidates, but unlike the first candidate, Su Donggai, he didn't express a clear opinion on their inclusion. Up until the seventh candidate, Wu Tong listened with interest to the girl's answers. Her thinking sounded quite good. However, she, too, didn't express a clear opinion, merely jotting down her comments in her notebook. 8th, 9th. Each interviewer took about 20 minutes. In the morning, Wu Tong and her team interviewed around 20 students. All were excellent, but some of their areas of focus didn't quite align with Wu Tong's current research focus. While she wasn't completely unable to mentor them, she certainly couldn't afford to give them the necessary focus and attention, given her energy and time. This was her first year teaching students, and out of respect for her students, Wu Tong only planned to recruit students with expertise in number theory and partial differential equations. If there were any outstanding candidates, she might consider geometry. With a clear direction in mind, Wu Tong quickly named 2 candidates she favored at the end of the morning's interviews. Thank you, Dean Pan, and all the professors, for your consideration. I've already confirmed 2 candidates. Besides the first one, Su Donggai, who everyone knows, there's also the 7th one, Fang Ling. Fang Ling, was there anything particularly outstanding about their performance? Honestly, after interviewing so many students this morning, many professors couldn't quite remember the performance of those after the 5th. Now, with this name suddenly mentioned, they couldn't help but reminisce. I remember you asked her a few questions about number theory. Li Yisheng flipped through the materials in his hand, quickly recalling the scene. Fortunately, it was only that morning. Although they had a lot of interviews, if they really thought about it, they could still come up with quite a few. Yes, her answers were quite interesting. She has a very good sensitivity to numbers. Wu Tong nodded in confirmation. This was a promising candidate for number theory, and the girl's intellectual acumen was also very good. Therefore, Wu Tong finally decided on the second student. Interview order and graduate school grades are not necessarily a complete indicator of a student's potential and ultimate ability. The other students are also excellent, but this is my first time teaching students, and I can't bite off more than I can chew. Thank you seniors for your hard work. Those who were admitted to Peking University and ranked in the top 20 were undoubtedly rare and outstanding students in this class in China. She was humbly given the opportunity by the seniors to make her choice. However, Wu Tong did not intend to be too greedy, nor did she want the seniors here to feel that she was picking over the rest of the students. Okay, the professors, convinced Wu Tong truly wasn't being selective, and hadn't been picky at all, naturally felt good about it. Out of 20 people, Wu Tong had only chosen 2, and those were the best, which made them even happier. Wu Tong, this kid, was truly sociable, so sociable. After Wu Tong's arrival and the announcement of the student recruitment campaign, their biggest concern had been that Wu Tong, a young prodigy with a rebellious streak, and the university's overwhelming support, would dominate, robbing everyone else of their chance, leaving them with scraps. But now, having truly gotten to know her, they realized they had been narrow-minded. How could a young talent with such remarkable achievements make such a naive mistake? Wu Tong truly deserved praise for her gentle warmth, humility, respect, and understanding. They were truly overjoyed to share the same academy as Jingda. Chapter 347, None. After a quick lunch, the second round of interviews began. Another round of interviews was scheduled for the afternoon, this time for doctoral candidates. Wu Tong only planned to recruit 1 doctoral candidate, placing particular emphasis on this candidate's practical skills and potential. The doctoral candidates who made it to their group interview had clearly been carefully selected from the best of the best, and Wu Tong wasn't particularly impressed. She then decided on her candidate, He Miquan, who had previously studied mathematics at Jinan University for both his undergraduate and master's degrees and was the third-place finisher in this doctoral recruitment round. Wu Tong could tell from his research that he had a solid theoretical foundation. While he might not be the type of student with instant talent, she sensed his hard work, his passion for mathematics, his determination, and his stable mindset. While such a student might not produce significant results immediately, Wu Tong believed that with perseverance, he would eventually achieve remarkable results. As for Wu Tong, he didn't choose the top-ranked candidate, nor the second best performing candidate, but instead chose the third, arguably mediocre, candidate. The professors present were actually somewhat puzzled. Wu Tong, you really don't need to deliberately choose the best talent just to accommodate us. You are our most outstanding scholar and our best student. Having you mentor us is a true win-win situation. Professor Wen, who had met Wu Tong many times and was a fellow Hualuojing Mathematics Award winner, offered blunt advice. They were all veterans, and seeing the flourishing of the School of Mathematics at Peking University and the domestic mathematics community was their true fulfillment. They truly didn't need Wu Tong to accommodate them. Professor Wen, don't worry. I'm not trying to compromise. I'm more attracted to the third candidate, He Mingwen. I value his steadfastness and want to give him a better platform. There's no shortage of talented people in this world, nor do talented people lack dedicated mentors. On the contrary, if someone like He Mingwen doesn't find a mentor who can recognize their talent, they might end up wasting their time. Wu Tong wasn't sure if she was that mentor, but she believed she would diligently fulfill her responsibilities as a mentor, hoping to help him further his mathematical research. Okay, Wu Tong is straightforward. Let's not waste time and quickly decide on our preferred candidate. Let's make it clear that there won't be any random competition. Pan Wenho made the final decision. He believed Wu Tong had his own thoughts. Since Wu Tong had made his choice, they should just support him. Pan Wenho addressed the other professors with a last word, not as a request, but merely a tease. Before, two professors had exposed each other's shortcomings over a promising student, creating hilarious incidents. Okay, don't worry, Dean Pan, we'll take it easy and won't make our School of Mathematics a laughingstock. Everyone wants a good candidate, but if 2 or 3 people are interested in the same student, they can privately compare their abilities. The winner takes the cake, and the loser retreats. No one should be unwilling to give in. They're all approaching old age, and if they continue to be laughed at, where's their dignity? Some people have no shame, and they still have to maintain some dignity. The recruitment interviews were quickly concluded. There were supposed to be more interviews, but Wu Tong had already successfully met her initial expectations and would not participate in the subsequent interviews. She only had to wait for the security department to complete background checks on the 3 students she had chosen. Once they were clear, they would send them confirmation letters and arrange a registration date. Wu Tong prepared the letters, and then Wen Shu would handle the rest. After the interviews, it was still early, so Wu Tong, for once, skipped returning to the institute and went straight home. Her next step was to head to the Second Academy of Aeronautical Engineering's Research and Experimental Base to conduct the final development of the DF-17 missile and oversee the development of a new scramjet engine, a task she couldn't fulfill at the Peking University Interdisciplinary Research Institute. So, Wu Tong had to go on another business trip, and before that, she wanted to spend some time with her family. When she arrived home, Wu Jingzhong and Jin Yu hadn't finished their get-off work yet, so naturally, they hadn't returned yet. Wu Tong went downstairs to visit her grandparents. Jin Yoking was working with Grandma Jin on a sweet soup. He hadn't previously experimented with it, starting with more everyday savory soups. Now, feeling his cooking skills had improved, he was taking on more challenging tasks. His Tong Tong was a sweetheart with a sweet tooth. Hey, Tong Tong, why are you home so early today? Wu Tong knocked on the door, and Jin Yoking couldn't help but smile as he opened it. It had been ages since they'd seen Tong Tong come home so early. He'd been so rushed lately. Knowing that Tong Tong was busy, yet still insisted on visiting them whenever he could, they were quite grateful. He chose this time to research sweet soup, hoping to make something smoother and fresher for Tong Tong, nourishing her and restoring her spirit, giving her more confidence for her research. Grandpa, Grandma, I finished work early today, so I came to talk to you. Wu Tong smiled and walked over, taking his grandfather's hand and entering the house. Zio Dan, Zio K, you two brought Tong Tong up today. Come on in, I just made some sweet soup, would you like to try it? The 4 people accompanying Wu Tong were apparently quite familiar with the family, seeing each other almost daily. The Wu couple also treated them like their own children and nephews. Seeing the 2 people 2 steps behind Wu Tong, they greeted them with familiarity. Although they didn't always accept, their enthusiasm was a sign of their sincerity, and they wouldn't refuse again just because they refused once. As long as it didn't violate their rules, they tried their best to treat these people well. Firstly, they'd known each other for a long time, and they were all hospitable people. Secondly, They hoped their warmth and kindness would encourage them to take better care of their child, Tong. The family's deep concern was evident in every little detail. "No, Mr. Jin, we have other plans. We won't be going in today." Kye smiled and waved his hand. They needed to make detailed plans for Mr. Wu's trip tomorrow, making sure to be fully prepared. With the situation Mr. Wu now faced expanding, even with the best investigation and confidentiality efforts, they had to be wary of the possibility of leaks. Especially when traveling, they had to be fully prepared. This was essential, and there could be no laxity. Mr. Wu's safety was not to be taken lightly. Any carelessness on their part would be tantamount to a crime. Mr. Wu's importance was paramount. Chapter 348 Space City. Okay, Zio Dan, take care. Come and visit us when you have time. Jin Yongking knew that the two children would not leave until he closed the door. This was their duty, so Jin Yongking waved and closed the door. "Come on, Tong, try the sweet soup that Grandpa made. Today, as you young people say, Grandpa is recreating your childhood memory, the big bowl of sweet soup at the banquet. I remember when you were little, I took you to a banquet, and that was your favorite soup." Jin Yongking took his granddaughter's hand and gestured to Wu Tong with a smile. He measured it at his waist. "Back then, you were only in kindergarten, not even as tall as my waist." Their customary custom was to set up a banquet for weddings and funerals, and there would be both sweet and savory soups on the table. The salty one is the get-out soup. Because the eggs need to be beaten and thrown into the soup, this soup is also called swing-sleeve soup. Because eggs are the main ingredient, and the soup is served, it means the end of the banquet, and it is time to leave quickly. Turn over the tables, remove the disposable tablecloths, and let the next group of guests take their seats. Therefore, it is also jokingly called get-out soup, which is very vivid. The sweet one is the fruit soup. When there is seasonal fruit, apples, oranges, white fungus, egg drop soup, etc. are usually added. In the winter when fresh fruit is not available, canned fruits are used instead, which has a unique flavor. Wu Tong really liked it when he was a child. It is not very sweet. A well-made banquet has just the right sweetness without being greasy. The fruit is fresh, and the white fungus is soft and gelatinous. It is really unforgettable. When Wu Tong was a child, the most enjoyable thing was to go to banquets with his grandfather. Grandpa was hospitable, cheerful, generous, and had many friends, so there were many opportunities to enjoy banquets throughout the year, especially during the end-of-year festivals when everyone had time. They could even attend banquets back-to-back. At that time, for Wu Tong, it was like a little mouse falling into a rice jar, so delicious. Every time, there was sweet soup at the end, and her belly was bulging from drinking it, which made her family tease her. Salty soup was also good, but since you could make it at home, it was not so rare. Only the sweet soup seemed to be particularly delicious because of the pressure from the big pots at the banquet. Thinking of her childhood, Wu Tong couldn't help but curl her eyes. She was quite calm. Although she had a lot of dark history as a child, because the elders who knew these things would bring them up from time to time, she could now treat it as a joke, just like her colorful clothes to entertain her parents. Grandpa and Grandma love me, so I must try it today. Wu Tong took the sweet soup that Grandma served with a smile. From the perspective of color, aroma and taste, Comrade Jin, you are amazing. You have made it as good as the one at the banquet. Let me try the taste again. Wu Tong stirred it with a spoon, blew it gently, and put it into her mouth. The sweet and smooth taste lingered on the taste buds in her mouth. It was exactly the taste of her childhood in her memory. She couldn't help but give a thumbs up. Comrade Jin, your craftsmanship is really good now. Ha ha ha. Of course, who am I? I was the master chef in the factory back then. As long as I want to do something, I have to do it well. There is nothing I can't learn. Jin Yongking accepted the praise from his precious granddaughter with his hands on his hips, proudly showing off. He, Jin Yongking, was able to make a name for himself in the factory after the founding of the People's Republic of China. It was because he had some talent. As Tong's grandfather, how could he be bad? Tong, you've really flattered your grandfather, Grandma Jin laughed. The old man was so old, and even at that age, he still loved to show off. Only Tong could indulge his temper. Wu Tong sipped her sweet soup while chatting with the old man. After everyone returned, she shared the news that she would be leaving the next day. I haven't decided yet, but I'll be back as soon as possible. It might be difficult to get in touch with you at the base, so I'll call you. If there's anything urgent, you know my other 24/7 hotline. Feel free to contact me. Don't think you'll be afraid of me not telling you." Before leaving, Wu Tong repeatedly assured her family that she wasn't worried about trouble, but only about them hiding things from her. Fortunately, after she joined the project team, her family would be carefully cared for. If anything ever happened to her parents or their family, there would be someone to handle it, so she wouldn't have to worry about backup plans. Tong, go with peace of mind. Be sure to take good care of yourself. Wu Tong's family offered only this farewell warning. No matter what, taking care of yourself is paramount. Don't worry about us. They would undoubtedly be extremely careful, avoiding trouble, even if they were afraid of it. They would pay attention to traffic safety, preventing any accidents from happening and causing the children to worry. The car started and rolled forward. After bidding farewell to her family, Wu Tong turned her attention to planning her research project, trying to stop dwelling on other things. If she worried too much, she might not be willing to leave. Regardless, parting is never a joyous occasion. Although the Second Academy of Aeronautics and Astronautics headquarters is in Shanghai, it focuses solely on theoretical and basic research. The real research and testing base is in Zizhou Aerospace City, which houses a dedicated EF base. This is also the first missile test base established in China in Zizhou. Mr. Wu, welcome to the Aerospace City. Wu Tong's private plane arrived, and Zhu Dingjun personally came to greet her. Seeing Wu Tong descend the gangway and stand still, she stepped forward and gave her a warm hug. The more she researched and studied recently, the more she was struck by Wu Tong's exceptional designs, and how much she learned. So, upon learning that Wu Tong had arranged to fly to Zizhou to personally oversee the work, she made time to personally meet Wu Tong to express her gratitude and respect. Mr. Zhu, Wu Tong smiled and hugged Zhu Dingjun. We meet again, and we'll be fighting together. She adjusted her hood. The wind and sand were strong in Zizhou, and Wu Tong, who needed to keep his identity secret, wore a camouflage cap and mask, overlaid with the hood of his jacket. Without getting close, it was impossible to make out Wu Tong's features. Come on, Mr. Wu. Although this isn't your first time in Zizhou, it's definitely your first time in Aerospace City. Let me introduce you to our Aerospace City. The origins of this base can be traced back to 1958. Less than a decade after the founding of the People's Republic of China. Back then, conditions were difficult. Our ancestors relied only on shovels, sacks, bamboo baskets, the most primitive tools and methods of work. In just 3 years, they built a massive missile test base, the Zizhou EF base. Relying on this base, it was initially used as a missile test and training base. Later, it gradually developed into the new Zizhou Satellite Launch Center, the outline of which we can no longer see. We generally call it Aerospace City. Chapter 349, Chasing the Wind. This is one of our launch and test bases for scientific satellites, technical test satellites and carrier rockets. It is the earliest and largest integrated missile and satellite launch center we have built, and it is also our only manned space launch site. Zhu Dingjun, who has been dealing with aerospace missiles for half her life, spends most of the year here, or even the whole year. She has an extremely strong feeling for this place. Although this place was once barren and covered with yellow sand, it has been creating miracles, composing the myth of chasing the moon, and creating the glory that established a country's status. If you stay here for a long time, Mr. Wu, you can see many wonders, including iron horses in the autumn wind, yellow flowers on the battlefield, ships in the night snow and the cold moon on the border, as well as the mighty east wind, fireworks in full bloom, the warm sun after the snow and the stars and the moon shining together. This can be regarded as an experience benefit for us aerospace and missile people. Ordinary people don't have the opportunity to see such a wonder of the desert. For people who work and live in the Aerospace City, strong winds are not unfamiliar. There are always a few months every year when strong winds carry sand and stones and rage in this vast ocean. Year after year, in order to build their dreams in space, Zizhou Aerospace people fight against the wind and sand, and go against the wind. For them, the clear sky and bright air are the most beautiful expectations and the most luxurious hopes. The wind and the sun are words that belong to the inland, not the thoughts of the desert. Instead of waiting for the wind to come, it is better to chase the wind. Wu Tong repeated these words fighting against the sky and the earth, and his heart was more moved. That sentence, once again appeared in Wu Tong's ears. The so-called quiet years are because someone is carrying the burden for them. Wu Tong is happy that he now has the ability to help carry the weight. Let's go, President Zhu, let's chase the wind and fight too. After listening to so many exciting histories and stories, Wu Tong was eager to invest in research and development as soon as possible to help the country and add another deterrent weapon. If the DF-17 could be landed sooner, she might even be able to visit the aerospace city and take a look at the spacecraft. After playing with fighter jets and missiles for so long, it would be a lie to say that Wu Tong has no interest in rocket launches. Of course, compared to traditional rocket launches, Wu Tong is more interested in recoverable rockets, or space shuttles. However, in order to achieve the goal of flying through the atmosphere into the universe and returning safely, the technologies involved, as well as the kinetic energy that can provide the space shuttle, and the body materials, will all be major research topics. Wu Tong has no delusion that they can be solved in a short time. You have to eat one bite at a time, and you can't become fat by eating one bite at a time. Wu Tong is clear about her position. What is important for her now is to get the DF-17 done, and lay the foundation for more advanced technology step by step. Breakthroughs are all achieved through a gradual accumulation. Okay, Mr. Wu, follow me. When Zhu Dingjun met Wu Tong's firm gaze, her words of persuasion stopped coming out. Originally, her plan for today was to take Wu Tong to visit the base, have dinner, and then send Wu Tong to the place where he would stay. The base has a special accommodation, and the accommodation they arranged for Wu Tong is of the highest level, located in the center of heavy protection. However, after really getting in touch with Wu Tong, she has already understood that Wu Tong is a pragmatic person who does not need those procedural arrangements and goes straight to the basics. This kind of hard work is also what Zhu Dingjun appreciates the most, and she is also a pragmatic person. Immediately, she took Wu Tong to the research base in a hurry. The carrier part of the DF-17 has entered the manufacturing arrangement, and the warhead part is in progress. Along the way, Zhu Dingjun introduced the current project progress to Wu Tong. Wu Tong also roughly understood these, but her report would be more detailed. Thank you for your hard work, President Zhu. I am at ease with your work. Please continue to make arrangements based on the overall situation. Is the engine research and development location ready? Wu Tong nodded in understanding, affirming Mr. Zhu's work and also pointing out the important purpose of her visit. She is here to help break through the research and development of DF-17. Everything has been arranged, and the cooperating engineers are in place. The two auxiliary engineers are the absolute core members of our team and very reliable comrades. And Mr. Yang Wei is taking the initiative to help. At first, when Mr. Yang contacted her, she thought he was joking. Who would have thought that this man who came for Wu Tong was really willing to be an assistant? As soon as he said that, when Zhu Dingjun led Wu Tong to the Engine Research and Development Office, he ran into Yang Wei who was guarding the door. Seeing Wu Tong, he immediately went to greet him. Mr. Wu, I'm here to bother you again. Let me open your eyes. Yang Ming came forward with a smile. He was quite responsive. Furthermore, as a member of the J-35 project team, he knew Wu Tong was working on a new missile. He instinctively knew Wu Tong would be working on an engine. He was intrigued, eager to witness the latest engine innovations. Furthermore, wanting to lend Wu Tong some support, he specifically applied to join the DF-17 R&D team, requesting to be part of the new engine development team. While he might have bitten off more than he could chew, he only had a basic grasp of variable cycle engines. He knew that biting off more than he could chew, but who could resist the allure of new technology and research? He hadn't, so he had come. Teacher Yang, thank you for working with me again. Wu Tong shook hands with Yang Wei. She was grateful for Teacher Yang's assistance. It was a pleasure working with Teacher Yang, and Wu Tong looked forward to another successful collaboration. Mr. Zhu, please notify the other two engineers. Let's have a meeting. I'll explain the key elements of the scramjet engine in detail, and then we'll begin construction. I've drawn a partial component diagram. You can schedule it. With Wu Tong taking his place in the DF-17 project team, the entire missile research and development process seemed to be wound up and accelerated towards perfection. The engine section, which was conquered by Wu Tong personally, was the first to be completed. As always, it was Wu Tong's job to work on the assembly line. Wu Tong produced the component drawings, and General Manager Yang and two core engineers were responsible for leading the team to build, assemble, and finally test run. The test data was quite ideal, and Zhu Dingjun's eyes sparkled with excitement. General Manager Wu, we can definitely do it. We can definitely do it. With the help of such a powerful engine, they will definitely succeed. In Zhao, Lu Xiao personally came to help with the guidance core research and development, shouldering the heavy responsibilities on both sides. This made Wu Tong think of doing it herself, but after thinking about it, she gave up the idea. Although she might be able to achieve the results by herself, she would definitely have to make time and energy to learn research and development. Not to mention whether it would drag down the entire project after she learned it, it would definitely affect her other research and development arrangements. Chapter 352 Houses. In this sector, there's Professor Wang, the winner of the highest science and technology award, who laid the foundation for China and broke new records, and then there's the talented and brilliant young man Lu Xiao. They already have a strong enough team, and Lu Xiao's abilities are equally unmatched. Domestic radar is already at the forefront of the world, so this isn't a field she needs to conquer. Wu Tong doesn't aspire to be omniscient and almighty. That's the realm of the gods, not her pursuit. She has more pressing areas to focus her attention on. Focus on excellence, not excess. Therefore, Wu Tong ultimately dismissed her sudden impulse. Furthermore, she promptly corrected her somewhat distracted thoughts, redefined her role, and did what was right, with a clear conscience. As April approached, astonishing news arrived from Beijing. The announcement of the election of new academicians was broadcast nationwide, and Wu Tong was among them. At only 18 years old, yet with remarkable achievements, she became the first member of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. This meant that after the public notice period, Wu Tong would be officially recognized as an academician, setting a new minimum age requirement for academicians. However, the internet was unusually quiet about this announcement, especially among the more active ones, who all took it for granted. For Wu Tong, the so-called public notice period was simply a formality, a process undeniable. From Zhou's conjecture to the NS equation, any single one of Wu Tong's contributions is truly remarkable, especially the latter two, which are unparalleled and unlikely to be surpassed. The Academy's own nomination for Wu Tong was met with criticism about his age, but at such a young age, he has already achieved accomplishments that others would never achieve. The meeting's chairperson simply asked, "Does anyone here have achievements comparable to Wu Tong's?" Those who mentioned Wu Tong's age blushed and stammered. Wu Tong's resume was unquestionable. He came from a distinguished background, was domestically trained, and had the full support of the Peking University faction. His approval was virtually a foregone conclusion. Following the announcement, the entire internet was once again abuzz with discussion, with many people jokingly saying that academician Wu had built a sea view villa to go viral. Unlike the big and small stars who have to go through so much hardship to reach the top, our academician Wu has easily reached the top again and again, just by relying on running water. This is the highest honor in the country. The higher-ups really think highly of Wu Tong. The people above, please be respectful and call me Wu Xin. Wu Xin, my God, I'm awesome, let's fight for glory again. From now on, it's academician Wu. The people above are really bold this time. There's no other way but to be decisive. My God's achievements in creation are there, and no one can get around it. If Wu Xin can't be elected as an academician, no one in this session or in the future will be qualified to surpass Wu Xin and take this title. Hot topics flooded the internet, sending shockwaves through the internet. The graduate students who had been interviewed at the same time were filled with envy for the three lucky students favored by Professor Wu. From now on, they would be the academician students. While they had renowned teachers, they certainly pale in comparison to academician Wu Tong. With a mentor like academician Wu, especially since it was Professor Wu's first time taking on students, his guidance would undoubtedly be meticulous. Their progress would be rocket-like, and how could it not be heartbreaking? However, they didn't meet academician Wu's criteria for selecting students, denying him such an honor. Their heartache and envy were unspeakable, and they could only work harder to close the gap and strive not to fall too far behind. The internet was abuzz with discussion, and naturally, this good news reached Zhao Aerospace City without interruption. Messages of congratulations were blocked by Wu Tong's block area. Mr. Wu, great news. Congratulations, Mr. Wu, academician Wu. Familiar project members couldn't help but smile and congratulate Wu Tong upon meeting him. Wu Tong smiled, responding to the congratulations. From the moment Dean Pen and Professor Zhou revealed the news to her at the beginning of the year, to now that the dust had finally settled and she had received this supreme honor, Wu Tong felt a mixture of gratitude, responsibility, and, of course, joy. She wasn't a stone-cold machine. She experienced joy, anger, sorrow, and happiness all at once. Such a joyous occasion would surely not be without emotion. Wu Tong received the news after waking up that morning. A dedicated team had been monitoring her and relaying the news to her. Wu Tong, this time, didn't miss out on this wonderful news. She wouldn't have to wait for others to congratulate her before realizing she'd been elected and promoted. Let's gather in a small group, President Wu, to congratulate you, academician. This was the highest honor they'd all strived for. For now, within the project team, she chose to keep things simple and celebrate with a genuine celebration. Once she landed on the DF-17, she'd have a proper and genuine celebration. Let's put everything else aside and focus on the project at hand. I appreciate everyone's kindness, Teacher Yang. Congratulations to you, academician Yang. Yang Ming was the only one present to be elected as an academician of the Academy of Engineering this term. Lu Xiao, also from Zizhao, also received this nomination. Kun Pen, Wei Long, and Kang Long, although their research and development information hadn't been released to the public, it was known within the group that their contributions were unparalleled, and the promotion to the elected academician class was a natural progression. Congratulations, everyone. We'll all be included in the list in the future. Yang Wei bowed to Wu Tong. Without Wu Tong's help, he would have had to wait another 5 to 10 years to achieve his current honor. However, with Wu Tong's significant progress and achievements, he had accumulated enough strength to stand out. The 7-day public announcement period was quickly approaching, and on the 7th day, Wu Tong received national honors and recognition from Chu Bu, who had come specially for him. He also received another surprise. Academician of the Academy of Engineering? Academician of the two academies. Wu Tong was stunned to see the certificate of honor handed to her, and blinked, not quite in disbelief. Being an academician of the Academy of Sciences had already shocked her, but she didn't expect that the higher-ups would prepare this one for her. Yes, academician Wu, Mr. Wu, your tremendous achievements in materials, engineering, in all aspects, and the help you have brought to the country, are enough to deserve this honor. So the higher-ups specially awarded you the title of Academician of the Academy of Engineering and the two academies. However, for your safety, this award, unfortunately, could not be announced to the public. Chu Hengin bowed and congratulated sincerely. The country remembers every one of Wu Tong's achievements, and this is also a tangible reward to tell Wu Tong that the country has not forgotten her contribution. Even if it cannot be announced to the public, the honor she deserves will be given to Wu Tong. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.